I don't know if it's... Good morning, everybody. Let me see if I can fix that. Don't know what the issue is. Hang on one second. Good morning, everybody. Hold on. I'm going to mute that, turn that off. Better? Let's see. Hang on a second. Let me just try to play this again real quick. Can you hear the sound, friends? Thumbs up if you can hear it. Yes? Just the phone mic. No, okay. Give me a second, okay? Just give me a second. Sorry. Hang on a second. Too many things going on. How's that? Yes? No. Well, can you hear me through the mic? Voice is fine, music's low. Okay. Well, c'est la vie. You can hear me, you just couldn't hear the sound. Okay, I'll see if I can figure that out. Thank you for being here. Sorry about that. I appreciate you guys being here. We know you have many choices to make every single day, and we're also very, very grateful that you choose to spend some time with us. So thank you. You know the drill. Tapping is clapping, liking is loving, sharing is caring. We appreciate you guys for that. Please consider joining our team if you've not yet done that. We are streaming on YouTube. We are streaming on Twitch. Thank you, Sam, for helping us out. We have a new look and feel in those spaces as well. Thank you again, Sam, and thank you all of you for helping Sam make that possible. We are crowdfunded here. If you want to support the channel, you can do so at Factsstillmatter. Also, brand new merch in the merch store. Turn the volume up, and a few other items that are in the merch store as well. So yes, thank you guys for being here. We really, really appreciate that. I want to just address a few things. We have a lot to talk about, obviously. In case you didn't know, the Senate signed the CR last night, so it goes to the House today or tomorrow. There's no scheduled House session today. Speaker Johnson came out, my bitch boy came out last night and talked about how, that he'll bring the House back in session. I guess they're flying back into DC, all those kinds of things are happening. But I just want to talk about yesterday. When I started this live, or doing this about 4 years ago, I never intended it to turn into what it's turned into. 120,000 followers and 2,000 people in our live, pretty much daily, and just incredible conversations. And when I tell you guys that I think you're the smartest chat on TikTok, I don't do that just to blow smoke. I do it because of the conversations that we have, the comments that you make in the chat, the conversations we have in the Discord, the amount of inquisitive inquiries that you guys have. So that's the whole point. So when I say that, it's because I mean it. I never intended for any, I don't expect people to agree with me. The mic isn't on. No mic. What the hell is going on? Can you guys not hear me through my mic either? God damn it. What is going on here? Did a setting change? Is that any better, you guys? You can't hear anything. You can hear me. You sound far away. We can hear you. You can hear you just fine. You hear perfect. Still just the phone mic audio. Is that any better, friends? I don't know. It seems like there's no setting changes. I don't know what it is. Let's see here. No, not better. It's perfect. Sound is on. Does it sound like it's coming through the mic? Still phone mic, you hear background noise, still sounds distant, still, I don't know what is, we can hear you, it's just tinny, it's perfect. It's fine. Sound is perfectly fine. Phone mic, I think it's TikTok, I can hear you, just sounds canned. Sounds okay. Thank you, Vet. Sounds good, it's fine, okay. All right, I'm just gonna stop worrying about it. Let me just see if you can hear any audio. Maybe that'll be the difference. Can you hear that? Can you? Doesn't sound normal. All right. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. Everything looks the same. All the settings are set on my end. There's nothing that's different here. Everything looks the same. This is behind baseball, the inside baseball here. There's nothing. All the settings are the same. Nothing has changed. Everything looks identical. Input. Anyway, background audio is muted almost. Sounds okay to you, sounds okay. Mic isn't picking anything up. I don't know why that is. It's been a hell of a week. Everything is all set on my end. Just bang on it. It's okay. It is what it is, friends. It just might change the show a little bit, which is totally fine. So what I was saying, so for those of you that are just joining, I appreciate being here. I just wanted to kind of address a few things. When I started this whole thing, I always felt like, listen, I've got some political experience in my past. I've got media experience in the past. I know how to hold a conversation. It's only Tuesday. I know. I know how to hold a conversation. So I thought, maybe there's a spot for me in this whole TikTok space. The audio is not good. I'm sorry, guys. I don't know what to say. Everything looks exactly the same. I don't know what to do. My apologies. I'll just speak loudly. I know you hear me, but it's fine. Okay. So, like I said, I think there's a space for me here. I don't have any expectation that everybody is going to agree with everything that I say. In fact, I encourage my mods, I encourage you, I encourage friends to challenge my opinions on things, right? That's the whole point. Yesterday was one of those days where I was perhaps in the significant minority in regards to my approach to how I addressed the situation with those 8 conservative Democrats who signed on with Republicans to advance the spending bill. And I saw a lot of the comments, which is fine. I have no expectation that people are going to agree with me. Oftentimes, contrarian opinions are how you get the best dialogue. That's part of the goal, right? Is to have contrarian opinions, right? Where I was frustrated, and in particular, some comments that I saw in the Discord afterwards, and I don't take things personally. I just want to make it very, very clear. I don't take things personally. It takes a lot to offend me, and I wasn't even offended. But what kind of bothered me a little bit was that people decided they were going to unfollow me for my take, and I don't care. Ultimately, it's your decision. If you want to unfollow me or follow me, I don't care. I'm not in it for that. I'm in it to have good conversations, ultimately, like we had. But that kind of became almost synonymous to me with the circular firing squad that is the Democratic Party, right? Think about what I appreciate that. I don't care. Okay, I don't care if people chose to unfollow me, but it became synonymous and almost emblematic of what we see with today's Democrats and liberal voters. the circular firing squad. Think about what it was that I was saying yesterday. I was talking about harm reduction. I was talking about how people are suffering. I will always stand on my integrity when it comes to those kinds of things. It's not going to be perfect. I don't expect everybody to agree with my opinions. I don't. But where do you stand? Where do you stand? If you're going to choose to not follow somebody who you've appreciated from a content perspective just because you disagree with my opinion, then how does that transfer to your vote? How does that transfer to your vote? This is the issue that we have on the left, is that we are looking for perfection. If you come in here every single day and expect me to say things that you're going to agree with every day, that's not going to happen. Some of my mods, some of my best friends on earth, they don't always agree with everything that I say, and I don't want them to. And I don't want you guys to agree with everything I say. In fact, that's the point. That's the point in this entire conversation. Now, I knew going into yesterday that opinion that I took, it wasn't. I always try to separate my personal thoughts on things and be as objective as I possibly can. So that's how I approached yesterday. How I approached this, I think about the long game. Republicans have been playing the long game for 50 years. Democrats get frustrated that they don't get immediate gratification. So that was frustrating to me. Again, I didn't take it personally, but you have to ask yourself the question, because we know who the real threats are. Okay? And I wanted to say that because I want to get into that today, because these are the real enemies. And before I forget, happy Veterans Day. And we have a veteran in our community who does all of our backgrounds for us. It's Legend. So thank you all for your service. There's nearly 15 million veterans living today. That represents roughly 6% of our population of those people that are over 18 years old. Thank you for your service from the bottom of my heart. And Legend, brother, you are a fucking rock star. I consider you a true friend. And he does our backgrounds for us every single day. So I don't want to move off of this point, because I think it's really, really, really important, right? That we have this conversation about who the true enemy is. Democrats are famous for standing in a circular firing squad. The question is why? Why? What are we fighting for? Has that changed since Sunday? Are we fighting for healthcare? Are we fighting to feed kids? Are we fighting for a better education system? Are we fighting for firearm reform? Are we fighting for improvements to our social safety nets? Are we fighting to go after corporate greed? Has any of that changed? Now, some people can say they caved, and you can make the argument, yes or no. You can certainly make that argument. And that's and I respect that. I respect that. And Space Peter, thank you for my point. You're saying your comment, I feel like it was all for nothing. Don't let feelings get in the way with what it is that we're fighting for. Don't let the feelings get in the way of what it is that we're fighting for. Mike's not cool. I want to remind people of a few things that we discussed. This entire issue is about the Republican Party and their corporate masters denying American citizens health care. Asking the Supreme Court to justify reasons for not helping with SNAP benefits, not doing anything about the social safety net, wanting to cut Medicaid and Medicare. All these things still exist. If you are going to take the stance that because 8 Democrats decided to vote to open the government, and you're going to just throw your hands up and say, I'm done, then due respect, you're part of the problem. You're part of the problem, because the Republicans have been playing the long game. In the destruction of our democracy, they've been playing the long game. And I understand I understand that people feel frustrated. I get it. Yes, seven Dems and one independent. I get it. I understand the frustration. But don't forget, because we're going to get into some polling numbers today, this administration and the Republican Congress are despised by the American people, are absolutely despised by the American people. So for anybody in here questioning my willingness to fight, you came to the wrong spot. I'll allow my integrity to speak for itself. And if I'm not your flavor, then that's fine. You know, I'm not a yes man unless it's between the sheets, but that's a different conversation. Sorry. I'm not the person. You're not going to agree with everything that I say. And I don't want you to. I want you to challenge conformity. I want you to challenge everything that you see. I want you to question it. I want you to poke holes in it, including me. That's why I'm not afraid to talk to anybody, friend or foe. I love Danny. I was in her live on Sunday night, and she was here yesterday, and we disagree on certain things, which is fine. But I want to make sure that you all understand what it is that we are fighting for. We're fighting for healthcare. We're fighting to defend marginalized communities, no matter who they are, no matter where they are, no matter what they are. We're fighting back against these people. I told you the other day that since the Trump administration, since January 20th, the top 10 billionaires in America have enriched themselves to the tune of $700 billion. $750 billion in 11 months. Who is the enemy? Who's the enemy? It's not those 8 Democrats. And if you are convinced that they're more of a threat than these people, then due respect, you're part of the problem. And I just want to make sure people understand that. And we'll get into a whole bunch of examples of that today, but I'm not offended if you stop following me. I just would ask you why. And don't be part of the circular firing squad. Don't be part of that. Don't be part of the constant complaining that Democrats do. Part of the reason that we saw a loss in the 2024 election, in my opinion, are entitled leftists who talk a good game, who talk about defending the rights of marginalized communities, who talk about defending women's rights, members of the queer community, black and brown people, the disabled, because they didn't necessarily like Kamala's policies towards Israel, they just checked out. Is that going to happen again? Is that really going to happen again? Step outside that circular firing squad that the Democrats love to use and remember who the fucking threat is. Remember that the Trump administration is sending in United States military and National Guard and arresting U.S. citizens and detaining children. Remember, they're the ones that literally our president went to the Supreme Court and said, hey, please protect me from feeding poor people. Republicans have no fucking plan for healthcare. This is on them. They own the presidency. They run the presidency, the House, the Senate, and the court. 56% of all ACA recipients, 57%, and 78% of Trump voters in 2024 are on the ACA. Those extensions expire at the end of December. Everybody's healthcare costs are going up, and it's on them. It's on them. If you're right, to that point, if they want to refer to us as the enemy, then be the enemy. Own that shit. So thank you for letting me get into that a little bit today, and we'll talk about a few more things. Sorry for the tech issues to start the show. Thank you all for being here. Amy Lee, how are you this morning?
I'm okay. I just want to say that, yesterday I was so frustrated because we had people coming up and they were like, we caved too quickly. And your point, I feel like they were missing the point. My family has suffered enough already. It was like, we haven't suffered enough. These people that were talking, I felt like maybe it hasn't impacted them enough. We've suffered.
Maybe.
We've suffered. We don't know what we're going to do. We're at zip, zero, zilch, nothing. And I mean, I've been in tears this morning just wondering, what are we going to do? I don't know what to do.
What I'm going to do, Amy Lee, is continue to fight for you.
I know you are.
And that's what I want other people to do as well. Because this is the face of who the people that we're fighting for. It's not me. It's people like Amy Lee. So that's why we have to stop with this circular firing squad bullshit and understand who the true fucking enemy is. We're fighting for you.
We just don't know. We just don't know. We're maxed out on everything. We don't have anything. Thanksgiving is nothing. Christmas is canceled. I have a 5-year-old granddaughter with epilepsy. My daughter is my 100% caretaker. I'm handicapped and disabled. I've had 3 surgeries this year. Just had a rotator cuff and torn bicep repair, fell and sprained my ankle. I mean, I'm on Medicare. What do we do? Where do we go? We're on SNAP. We have nothing. And they're saying we haven't suffered enough. We're suffering. And I thank you for your point. I thank you for standing up for us.
Oftentimes, we speak about things in grandiose terms. We talk about it from 100,000 feet, but this is real life, right? This is real. This is real life. I'm sorry you're going through this, but a lot of people are, and that was the point that I was trying to make yesterday. And maybe I'll own maybe I didn't make the best point, but what I'm trying to remind people is this is real life, and suffering is suffering. And I think it's selfish for people to say, oh yeah, we should have continued. You can make the argument, sure, but this is real life. This is the impact that this has. How long is Amy supposed to suffer? How long are other people supposed to suffer?
Who did I vote for? I voted for Kamala.
Yeah. At this point, that's even
I voted
irrelevant.
for everybody. Yeah. I voted for we, not me. I voted for we.
Yep.
I lost my very best friend of 28 years because we had different political standpoints, and she couldn't understand. My daughter is part of the LGBTQIA plus community, and she was more afraid of men in women's restrooms. Said she would rather go to the bathroom outside than. And I was like, what? I thought that we were best friends, and you are. This is my daughter. This is my daughter. And you're telling me you're afraid of my daughter. We just don't know where to turn. But thank you, Steve.
It's my pleasure, Amy Lee. So, are you in our Discord?
I am, yes.
So,
I've reached out to the Lighthouse Foundation. I'm just waiting to hear from them.
Okay, and we'll make sure that happens. We were just, Mods and I were just briefly chatting. Be on the lookout for some messaging from us. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. We love you. Hang in there. Okay.
Thank you, Steve.
All right. Bye. So for those of you that are again in the circular firing squad, these are the people that we're fighting for. This is what we're doing. This is who we stand for. Now we can get angry and we can get up in our emotions and we can be all triggered by whatever happened over on Sunday with those 8 Democrats, and you're entitled to do that. Absolutely, you're entitled to do that. But has anything changed? Has anything changed? Has the wealth disparity changed? Has the criminality of the administration that we have changed? No, it hasn't. None of it has. The fight, I don't vote for myself. I vote for Amy Lee and for her kids and for the people who are on SNAP and for the veterans who've served honorably. I don't care. The children of the people who voted for Trump, I want them to have health care. I want Trump voters to have health care because I know if they do, I do. And we see it time and time and time again, the selfishness of conservatives. We hear it all the time, every single day. And I was curious because my brain was firing yesterday as I was trying to deal with a technical disaster for the play that I'm directing that goes up next week. We now don't have a tech director, but that's a different conversation. So I was working on a light board that I knew nothing about last night, and I think I figured it out, but I guess we'll see. Anyway, had a lot of time to chew, and I was like, okay, let's look at the last 50 years of political parties' main economic educational principles, and there's a clear divide. There's a clear divide, okay, between people who support the Democratic policies and Democratic Party compared to the Republican Party. There's a clear divide. It's really about what your priorities are. And from everything, again, is me being objective. If you can be objective, then if you support Republican politics, you are about yourself. If you support Democratic policies, you are about others. It's that simple. It's that simple. And one of the solutions that I've heard so far from our president regarding the ACA, not even the ACA, he just wants to give American taxpayers some of the money back and buy their insurance. Who are you going to buy the insurance from? Don't spend money with those big pharma companies, the ones that are sponsoring you, by the way, the ones that are putting money in your pocket. So instead, let's just give it to the American taxpayer. Another lie, because that's not going to happen. And what are those American taxpayers going to do with it? Some of them are just going to, if it even happened, because it won't, some of them would just pocket the money, which means there would be fewer people in the marketplace, which means the prices would go up for everybody else, or they would just buy their health insurance from the same health insurance companies. So this is the fight. And again, I do not expect you to agree with me on everything. I don't want you to. I want you to challenge what it is that we discuss here. But don't forget who the enemy is. Who the enemy is. All right. Thank you for that. Good morning, Sherlock. How are you today?
Yeah, I'm good. How are you?
Fine, thank you. What's on your mind?
Yeah. So I was here through once you started the live. First off, I actually appreciate what you said about the best conversations come through people who you disagree with. That's actually really nice and refreshing to hear. But you talked a lot about healthcare. Now, I'm actually in favor of universal healthcare if it's done properly. So I'm not even going to argue about that. But I do think that you include abortions into healthcare, and I don't, because I don't believe abortions can be.
I'm not going to have that conversation with you. I'm not interested in talking to somebody who's disingenuous about having a legitimate conversation just to kind of come up here and provide your obvious opinion that you think you should just control women. So move on. Goodbye. All right. Interesting. By the way, there's just a little breaking news. The president has asked the Supreme Court to overturn a $5 million civil judgment that found him liable for sexually abusing and defaming writer E. Jean Carroll. Of course he would. Of course he would. No, Sherlock Holmes, I'm not a runner, but you want to control women. And I'm not interested in having a conversation with a selfish fuck like you. And how dare you discredit the name Sherlock Holmes? So you can find someone else where you can share your hatred and misogyny and your love of the patriarchy with somebody else. But we don't fucking play that game here. So you can move on. But thank you. Yeah, again, so the president asking the Supreme Court to overturn a $5 million civil judgment and found him liable for sexually abusing and defaming writer E. Jean Carroll. Because of course he would. Because of course he would. Yeah. All right. So let's talk about, so again, thank you for, and I'm just asking people to just think. Okay? Just think. Just think about what it is that you want. Is it going to discourage you from voting? And we're going to be right back where we are again. This is what the Democrats do. The overwhelming majority of Americans agree with liberal-leaning policies. Education, healthcare, women's rights to their bodies, rights of the LGBTQIA community, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Marginalized communities in general, social reforms, propping up the social safety net, firearm control, overwhelming majority of Americans. It's been polled for decades. Every poll tells us the same thing. People don't like the Democrats because, again, what's the quote? Quest for perfection and you ignore the good or something like that. Stop. Republican parties voted for a 34-time convicted felon. The Republican Party got in line behind a fucking predator, a twice impeached, 4-time indicted, sexually abusing, fraudster, convicted felon, name on a list predator. They voted for that. Perfect is the enemy of good. Thank you. Don't play into the bullshit. Just remind yourself what it is that you stand for. I've always said, I look at the Democratic Party, the status quo Democrats, as public transportation. It gets me 3/4 of the way to where I want to go, and I'm willing to walk the rest of the way. I'm willing to carry people with me if necessary. And we're going to break that down a little bit. Bernie has a really good take on it. But I think people are just like, I know the emotions were running hot yesterday. I really do. But ask yourself, now there's 24 hours later, you can be angry, but to remember why you're angry or why you should be angry. The Republican Party has been cutting health care for decades. They do not have a healthcare solution. Their solution is to cut Medicaid and Medicare. Their solution is to not extend subsidies to pay for the ACA. That's their solution. Period. Full stop. That is their solution. They do not care about the social safety net. They want to go after, they want to privatize Social Security. They do not care. They don't care about public education. They want charter schools. Why charter schools? Because it enriches the people that support their party. They don't want responsible firearm legislation. They only talk about protecting the 2A, and their followers say, we got to put more guns in the hands of more people. Blah, fucking blah. Remember who the enemy is. Remember who the enemy is. It hasn't changed that our economy's in shambles. It hasn't changed that the president's going to sit in the Oval Office and lie to people, literally telling people, even though your prices are going up, I'm going to tell you your prices are going down. They're the enemy. The people in this picture and others are the enemy. So, again, I don't expect you to agree with me. I have no desire for that to happen. I'm only here to challenge conversation. I'm not gonna platform men who think they can speak on women's bodies. No. If you want to have a conversation about how we move the country forward and how we should be prioritizing basic human rights like healthcare, food, water, and shelter, then all day long. But until that happens, friends, remember who the enemy is. Okay. All right. I want to talk a little bit about the pardons because there's been a slew of pardons. So you're going to hear from Elizabeth Oyer, who was the pardon attorney under the Biden administration. She's been replaced by some loyalists. So in case you didn't know, there was a slew of pardons issued yesterday. And oh, by the way, I want to remind you of a few things. You notice how they're no longer talking about the auto pen controversy? You notice that? They're no longer talking about the auto pen because of that infamous 60 Minutes interview where Mr. Trump admitted that I have no idea who this guy was. So they cannot make the argument, they being the conservative Republicans, cannot make the argument anymore that Trump knows exactly what he's doing or that Biden didn't. So there you go. So this is Liz Oyer. Just listen to her breakdown of this, the pardon piece.
Hey everybody, I am running out of words to describe how damaging Trump's pardons are. He just pardoned at least 77 people who tried to overthrow the results of the 2020 election. This might be Trump's most dangerous use of the pardon power yet. I'm Liz Oyer, the former pardon attorney for the Department of Justice. Donald Trump is now actively using the pardon power to undermine our democracy. Last night, Trump's pardon attorney announced blanket pardons of everyone involved in trying to overthrow the 2020 election results. There were 77 people listed by name, including Rudy Giuliani, Sidney Powell, John Eastman, and other Trump lawyers and loyalists. But the pardons were not limited to those named individuals. They apply to anybody who worked on overthrowing the 2020 election results. There are a few things that are truly extraordinary about this. One is that Trump appears to be claiming the power to pardon state law crimes, not just federal crimes, even though that goes directly against the Constitution. The Constitution specifically limits the president's pardon power to federal crimes, but the crimes Trump just pardoned all involve state law, not federal law. Trump is pushing the boundaries of the pardon power in a way that we have never seen before in our history. Two, Trump is sending a loud and clear message to his supporters that they
This part right here.
have license to commit crimes in the name of Donald Trump. If you break the law on behalf of Trump, you have nothing to worry about. Trump has your back. This is incredibly dangerous and scary. Three, Trump is using pardons to erase entire chapters of our history and to demolish democratic safeguards like free and fair elections. This began on day one of his presidency with the January 6 pardons, and it just keeps getting worse. Behind all of this is Ed Martin, Trump's pardon attorney. Martin is a sham lawyer who organized the Stop the Steal movement. He is now working inside the Department of Justice to sabotage our democracy. His motto is "No MAGA left behind," and he's not done yet. If you haven't seen it already, please go back and watch my video on why Ed Martin is one of the most dangerous people in America. I'll be keeping a close eye on Martin and also on what happens with these pardons, and I'll keep you posted.
Yeah. So the list of people on the pardon list is crazy. Rudy, Jenna Ellis, the Kraken. I just want to remind people of a couple things because, again, the legacy media is sort of just glossing over this. Jenna Ellis confessed to her crimes, aiding and abetting false statements and writings, sentenced to 5 years probation. She submitted an apology letter to the citizens of Georgia admitting that she lied. Okay? She confessed to it. She confessed to election interference. Again, she confessed to it. And the point that Liz Oyer's making there is that these are state crimes. They're more symbolic just to say, hey, I got you. And she's right. Go ahead, commit crimes on my behalf, even if they're federal, especially if they're federal, because then I can pardon you. She confessed to it. In the plea hearing, Ellis stated that in attempting to challenge the election results in several states, she failed to do my diligence and did not make sure the facts the other lawyers alleged to were true. In fact, I didn't check. Nice. The Kraken, Sidney Powell, she pled guilty. Again, pled guilty to 6 misdemeanor counts of conspiracy to commit intentional interference with the performance of election duties. Powell submitted a very brief apology, 13 words, to the state acknowledging her actions in connection with the events in Coffee County. In a 2021 filing in a defamation suit by Dominion Voting Systems, Powell admitted that no reasonable person would conclude that her statements were truly statements of fact. Again, that quote, no reasonable person would conclude that her statements were truly statements of fact.
Smart people don't like me.
Her guilty plea centers on her role in the scheme to breach election equipment and interfere with election duties in Georgia. The incident ended up in court. She pled guilty to 6 misdemeanor counts regarding election interference. No reasonable person would conclude that her statements were truly statements of fact. Pardoned. Attempted pardon. Nice. John Eastman. Criminal indictments against John Eastman. A judge found that Eastman conspired with President Trump to obstruct a lawful function of the government of the United States, specifically by conspiring to disrupt the electoral count on January 6th. The bar court found him liable on 10 of 11 professional conduct charges, such as making false and misleading statements, acts of moral turpitude, corruption, and recommended his disbarment. As a result, his law license in California was placed on inactive status. In Georgia, on August 14, 2023, Eastman was indicted in the Georgia election racketeering prosecution, along with 18 others on 9 felony counts, including violation of Georgia's RICO statute, racketeering, conspiracy to commit forgery in the first degree, 2 counts, conspiracy to commit false statements in writings, 2 counts, solicitation of a violation of oath by a public officer, conspiracy to impersonate a public officer, conspiracy to file false documents, and filing false documents. In Arizona, he was arraigned May 17th of last year on charges including conspiracy, fraud, and forgery in connection with the fake elector scheme. He pled not guilty. These are the people that were pardoned. Rudy Giuliani, he confessed to his crimes. He confessed in Georgia that he made up shit about Shay Moss and her mom. He admitted to it in court. I made this up. I made this shit up. I made it up. I lied. And the law and order president pardoned them, along with all the 1,600 insurrectionist traitors who committed crimes in defense of him, in support of him on January 6, 2021, including people who assaulted police officers. Remember who the enemy is. Including those people. Patriots. Patriots, right? Patriots. And this is the problem. Again, circular firing squad. You're out there looking for perfection in your candidates, and these are the people that are in charge because you're doing that. I would ask you, what is it that you're truly fighting for? Seriously, what are you truly fighting for? If you're going to get discouraged and frustrated and angry and then just check out, then you're going to get more of this. They are an administration of Christian nationalists. They do not give a fuck about you. They could care less. They are in it to enrich themselves. They are taking advantage of gullible voters and apathetic voters. They've conditioned 77, 78, 79, 80 million people that Christian nationalism, fascism, and authoritarianism is the way to go. They're pardoning Chinese spies. I'm going to read about that story. They're pardoning the Binance founder, whose platform was used to fund the H group and also to money launder and facilitate a global sex trafficking ring. And you're going to clutch your pearls, Democrats? You're going to clutch your pearls, leftists? Quite frankly, some of you are just as bad. Because of what? Because your feelings were hurt? Did you hear Amy Lee this morning? Did you hear her? Did you hear her voice cracking? Did you hear how distraught she is? Are you going to truly put your money where your mouth is and stand up for that? Let it make you angry. You can disagree all you want, but let it make you angry and realize who the fucking threat is. If you want to primary them, then primary them. Go for it. But who is the fucking threat? Katie, I'm holding them accountable as well. But what does that mean? Holding them accountable means what? Finish that sentence. Holding them accountable. Sure. To what end? To what end? Holding them accountable. I totally agree. Totally agree. That's what we're supposed to do. That's what an informed electorate does. You hold your elected officials accountable. When the time comes, are you going to check out because your person doesn't win? That's how Republicans get elected, because they feel like the left, in their right, in many cases, will just pearl clutch their way through this bullshit. You guys always talk about the Republicans win because they fight dirty. Okay, then stop looking for fucking perfection. Stop looking for perfection. And ask yourself, politics is a dirty business. You can't ever You're never going to find the perfect candidate. Never. Republicans literally vote for a felon, a sexually abusing criminal. That's who they put in office. That's who they put in office. And you're concerned because some people took a stand to say, I want people to get paid. I want SNAP to get funded. I want WIC to get funded. I want to put Republicans on blast for health care. Think about that. He pardoned people. He's got a pardon attorney that is looking for ways to erase. Thank you, Swishy Raiders. I appreciate it. Hearts in the chat for Swish in particular, please. If you know, you know. Hearts in the chat for Swish. Big, lots of, as many hearts as you can possibly find. Hearts in the chat for Swish. They have a vested interest in laughing at you, Republicans. They know that you won't, they know that you'll do the same thing. They know that you'll do the exact same thing, follow the same script. You'll get angry, you'll fight amongst yourself, and meanwhile, the authoritarian train will just drive further and further down the track. It's what they want. It's what they want to have happen. And, 24 hours later, I'm hoping people realize that that's a mistake. Jonathan Capehart, who I like, I knew him first as a writer, but he came out with a take that was similar to the one that I was trying to describe yesterday. I think he said it well. I'll just play it for you.
Hey, y'all, I hear there's a lot of backlash on Senate Democrats about the shutdown, but they are doing the right thing. Here are 3 reasons why and 1 piece of advice.
I'm not going to go so far as to say they're doing the right thing, but this is a perspective that I tried to make yesterday.
1, this is not a fold or a cave by Senate Democrats. You know why? Because Republicans were never going to vote to extend the Obamacare subsidies. In the long term, this is a win for Democrats because they have changed the political conversation, which leads to number 2. They did it by sounding the alarm about the looming affordability crisis in healthcare back in September. And so, by depriving Republicans of the votes needed to pass the CR and keep the government open, Democrats focused the nation's attention on healthcare. 3, the ending of the shutdown doesn't take pressure off Republicans who have the House, the Senate, and the White House to do something about healthcare. So when they don't do something for the American people are going to be mad when they go to the ballot box in November. And this leads to my 1 piece of advice to Democrats. Stop with the formation of the circular firing squad. Keep the attention on Republicans and their unwillingness to help the American people.
Yeah. No notes. I understand the last 40 days shone a light on the fact that Republicans have to fix the healthcare situation. They have to. They have to. They are in charge in the Senate, in the White House, and in the House. They have to fix it. Period. There was absolutely no effort by the Republicans in charge to fix the pending healthcare crisis. My healthcare is going up nearly $2,000. I do not know how the fuck I'm going to afford it. I will figure it out. That problem does not change just because a Democrat signed on to open the government. It doesn't. They have to fix it. Republicans have to fix it. Now they're on record saying they're going to hold a vote. If they do, and there's a discussion and we get healthcare changes, super. If they don't, the burden is still on them. Their voters see it. They are getting hammered in the polls. They are getting hammered in elections. They are getting hammered in the courts across the board. Across the board. This fight was and is about healthcare. It's been consistent. Don't allow yourself to fall into that circular firing squad trap. These people are the threats. Mike Johnson protecting pedophiles. Adelita Grijalva could be sworn in as early as today. I think the first scheduled House session is tomorrow. They're going to start to vote. She's going to sign on the discharge petition. Ball's in your court, Mike. Don't forget. Don't forget who the enemy is and what it is that we're fighting for. Don't forget. Okay. Let me real quickly thank to Tammy. Love your show. Love what you stand for. Thank you, Tammy. I appreciate you guys very, very much. You want to support the channel? Best way to do that is we are crowdfunded. You can find me at Factsstillmatter, at Cash App, PayPal, Venmo. We are streaming on Twitch. Please consider subscribing there. Hello, Twitchers. Is that what it is? Sure. And then we're also on YouTube. Please consider subscribing over there. By the end of next week, once this play is behind me, I'll have some time to dedicate to getting our streaming environment. I'll have TikTok Studio. The show will look a little bit different, but we're working on it. Just wanted to give you a heads up. So, and everybody, thank you for all your support. I appreciate you. So, let's spend a little bit more time on this pardon list, because that was just the events of yesterday. I just want to kind of go back in time a little bit to the people. And again, as a reminder, okay, actually, do I even... The same people. It's the same group of people that are the threats. All right. On November the 9th, the 80 people that we just discussed, for playing the roles in any slate or proposed slate of presidential electors, as well as for any conduct relating to their efforts to expose voting fraud and vulnerabilities in the 2020 presidential election. By the way, none of them confessed to any of those crimes. In fact, I read you their confessions. I read you what they said. We lied. We didn't know anything. we lied about all this shit. Those pardoned included the fake electors who approved fraudulent slates of electors, falsely claiming Trump had won their state in the 2020 election, as well as a number of former Trump lawyers, Rudy, Sidney Powell, Kenneth Chesborough, Jenna Ellis, Christina Bobb, and John Eastman. Those people were all pardoned and or had their sentences commuted. Actually, pardoned. They're symbolic because these are state crimes. President does not have the authority to pardon state crimes, although he's going to push it. Others who were pardoned after being employed by the president include Boris Epshteyn, a longtime Trump attorney and advisor, and former White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows. Mark Meadows, by the way, got busted for voter fraud. Tried to vote in 2 separate states. Cool. The most recent pardons appear to have given Trump approximately these most recent pardon recipients appear to have given Trump approximately $250,000 in combined political donations through 2025, according to Federal Election Commission filings, with David Hanna, a Georgia elector and CEO of Atlanticus Holdings Corporation, giving him $145,500. That guy committed fraud, and because he supported Donald Trump, he got a pardon. On October 21st, Changpeng Zhao, or CZ, Trump pardoned the billionaire Binance founder after Zhao's company worked extensively with the Trump family's World Liberty Financial, with World Liberty's USDI stablecoin used for a $2 billion investment made by Binance earlier this fall. So Binance, again, CZ, got busted for money laundering, confessed to his crimes, serving time. World Liberty Financial gets $2 billion in Binance. That's not even the full story. Binance was known to have been using their platform to help fund terrorist activities and a sex trafficking ring. That guy got pardoned. Binance launched a task force aimed at striking a deal with World Liberty after Trump won the 2024 election in hopes of easing Zhao and Binance's legal woes. The Wall Street Journal reported Wednesday that Binance's, this is 2 weeks ago, engineers were building the technology behind the USD1 token. World Liberty denies having any involvement with Zhao's pardon. Of course. Zhao's pardon also came after Trump erased another legal trouble for his company, with the SEC dropping a lawsuit against Binance in May, only days after the exchange began listing USD1. But again, what about Biden? October 17th, George Santos. Trump pardoned the disgraced former New York congressman after his campaign donated $2,800 to Trump's election campaign in September 2019, according to FEC filings, with Santos' campaign also spending nearly $1,000 on stays at the Trump org's former Washington, D.C. hotel. Nothing to see here, right? May 28th, Imad Shah Zuberi. Trump commuted the sentence of Zuberi, a fundraiser and venture capitalist, after he was convicted of crimes that partially stemmed from a $900,000 donation in his company Avenue Ventures made to Trump's first inaugural campaign in 2017. Zuberi, who was indicted for concealing his work as a foreign agent, separately donated a combined $225,000 to Trump's various political committees in 2017 and 2018, according to FEC filings. But nothing to see here, right? No corruption. What about Biden? Biden crime family. Okay. May 28th, Julie and Todd Chrisley. Remember them from TV, from Botox fame. Trump pardoned the reality TV show stars who were ultimately convicted for fraud. And their daughter, Savannah Chrisley, spoke during the Republican National Convention in 2024 in support of Trump, also donated nearly $1,000 to a political committee that year. Nothing to see here. April 23rd, Paul Walzak. These are all just this year alone. These are the people that have financial ties. This is a short list. Paul Walzak. Trump pardoned Walzak, former nursing home executive who pled guilty to tax crimes only weeks after his mother, Elizabeth Fago, attended a $1 million fundraiser for Trump that promised face-to-face access to the president, reported by the New York Times. FEC filing confirms Fago's donation, and she has separately donated more than $16,000 to Trump-related committees. And Walzak reportedly claimed in his application for a pardon that he was targeted because of his mother's advocacy for Trump and her involvement with an effort to publish the diary of former President Joe Biden's daughter during the 2020 election. Funny, right? But nothing to see here. Nothing to see here. Jen, I'll post this in the Discord. I found the article on Forbes. Okay. March 27th, Trevor Milton. Trump pardoned Milton, the founder of startup Nikola Motor, after the billionaire donated approximately $946,000 to Trump since 2016, $900,000 less than a month before the 2024 election. So $2 million. Milton's wife, Chelsea Virginia Milton, also separately donated a combined $927,000 to Trump's election campaigns in October 2024. Nothing to see here, though, right? What about Biden? March 27th, HDR Global Trading Limited and BitMEX founders. Trump pardoned HDR Global Trading Limited, the parent company of crypto exchange BitMEX, and several of its founders and ex-employees after the company and its workers were convicted for violating the Bank Secrecy Act, with the pardons also viewed as another way Trump boosted the crypto industry that is significantly enriching him and his family. Trump himself has doubled his net worth since becoming president. This is all public information. But what about Biden? BitMEX allows customers to, again, BitMEX got pardoned for their crimes, violation of the SEC security exchange laws. BitMEX allows customers to trade Trump's Trump meme coin and World Liberty Financial's WLF1 token on its platform, with Reuters and crypto outlets noting the exchange listed Trump faster than many other competitors. BitMEX co-founder Arthur Hayes, one of the people Trump pardoned, also wrote a blog post in February in support of Trump's meme coin, calling on more politicians to release their meme coins and describing Trump's as a, quote, new weapon against political corruption. They're using the meme coin to create political corruption, but the statement is, this is a new weapon against political corruption. Nice. February 10th. Rod Blagojevich, former Illinois governor, worked with Trump before his presidential days, appearing as a contestant on The Apprentice in 2010. And despite serving in politics as a Democrat, has repeatedly cheered the president, particularly after Trump commuted Blagojevich's 14-year sentence in 2020 before fully pardoning him in his second term. Unlike other people who have received pardons after donating to Trump, Blagojevich has actually taken in money from the president. Trump and his company donated a combined $10,000 to Blagojevich's political campaigns between 2002 and 2007, according to multiple reports. Nothing to see here, though, right? What happened there? Screen just got dark. That's wild. Can you guys still see me? Yes? Anyway. Oh, I gotta do the puzzle piece. That's what this is. Hang on. There we go. We're back. Ross Ulbricht, who operated a marketplace on the dark web, received a pardon from Trump after the Silk Road founders' case became heavily promoted by libertarians, as they argued his prosecution was an example of government overreach and lobbied Trump for a pardon. When Trump pardoned Ulbricht, he delivered a promise during a speech at the Libertarian National Convention before the 2024 election, and Libertarian Party Chair Angela McBardle told Reason that after Trump's promise to free Ulbricht, the party intentionally stopped campaigning in battleground states where they could have siphoned votes away from Trump. Funny, right? Again, Silk Road, money laundering. Who are the enemies, friends? Remember who the enemy is. I've got another story. This is a recent pardon just from 2 days ago, or yesterday. Where is it? This is from 3 days ago. Trump pardons ex-NYPD officer who was convicted of helping China stalk an expatriate. So now we're pardoning Chinese spies. What about Biden? President Trump granted a pardon on Friday to a former New York police sergeant who was convicted of helping China try to scare an ex-official into going back to his homeland, a prominent case in U.S. authorities' efforts to combat what they claim are Beijing's far-flung efforts to repress critics. Michael McMahon was sentenced this spring to 18 months in prison for his role in what federal judges called a, quote, campaign of transnational repression. He insisted he was innocent, saying he was unwittingly used when he took what he thought was a straightforward private investigator gig. McMahon said he was told he was working for a Chinese construction company, not the nation's government. A White House official speaking Friday on the condition of anonymity to discuss a pardon that hasn't been publicly announced pointed to McMahon's explanation that he'd been misled. The official also noted that McMahon earned dozens of commendations before a 2001 injury, ending his 14-year NYPD career. McMahon's lawyer, Lawrence Lutberg, said the pardon, quote, corrects a horrible injustice. So now we're pardoning Chinese spies. Okay. But again, who's the threat? People making a decision to choose SNAP benefits, jobs, airline, public safety, or people that are pardoning felons. Shouldn't be that difficult a conversation now, should it? I hope not. Okay. So let me shift gears a little bit here, see if anybody in the box has requested. Good morning, Remy. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
Fine, thank you. What's on your mind?
So I wanted to share something that I don't think I've never heard anyone talk about, and just a little bit about my backstory. I took in 2 children that were abused by a pastor, and they have mental health issues. One of the children has been in a mental health facility for 2 years. I received bad news that I'm probably never going to have that child in my care again because they're too far gone mentally due to the abuse. Again, this was not anyone from the LGBTQ plus community. That pastor has been allowed to be free. The BBB bill, I've never heard anyone talk about this, but I wanted to warn the public about how it's affecting human rights. I have children in public school, and the school has been altering IEPs. They've held these children back, even though they're AB honor roll students. These children with disabilities have been forced to repeat the grade. One of the children should have graduated June of 2024. They have not graduated, and I found out that the reason why the school has been fudging paperwork, altering signatures, they have not been honoring the IEP. I'll give you an example of how bad it is. The teacher was supposed to give one of the children 2 hours of instruction. They were giving them only 1 hour. They were not honoring the IEP for almost a year, but they pocketed that extra hour. This is tax money. The school has been pocketing an extra hour, violating an IEP. And the other thing they have been doing is the children have been passing the grade, but they've been leaving them behind every year and keeping them in the same grade. These children have been repeating the same grade, 9th grade, for years, and they haven't failed. And the reason why they're getting away with this was when I started going to human rights groups in the area, they're shutting down. And when I asked them why, they said the BBB cut off funding. So we can't get human rights to step in. Legal aid, I contacted legal aid. They are no longer doing these human rights violations anymore. There's no funding. And so the school is not even hiding it because we're recording the meetings. I have all this in recordings. They're doing this openly now because they know parents can't afford lawyers and there's no funding for human rights. And the Department of Education is so broken that there's no, I'm never gonna, there's the time, the list is so long. That's what they're saying, is so long.
Remy, can I ask a favor? Can you reach out in our Discord so we can kind of get into this story a lot more? Like I'm hearing things that I've not heard before, and it sounds horrible, and I want to try to support you as best we can. Yeah. So could you maybe reach out in our Discord, and if you're not there already, join our general chat session, and we can talk about it a little bit more, and we can probably work to try to get some more information on it. Would that be all right?
Yeah, it'd be great. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, appreciate you got it. Thanks for being here today. I appreciate you very much. Thanks a lot. See you later. All right, bye. We're going to get into, again, there's a clear divide in our country as to the types of policies that you support. And one of those sort of, hot button topics is education, and it should be. And you can see that there is one particular political ideology who supports expanding access to IEPs and IDEA programs and special education funding, et cetera, and public education in general. But we'll talk about that in a little bit. I just wanted to finish up a couple other things. I got one more request, and I'll take care of this, and then we'll talk more. Good morning, Darnell. How are you today?
Good morning. I'm good, man. Hey, I just wanted to come up quickly to thank you for your dedication, man.
Thank you.
It's very inspiring. I have to take long breaks from TikTok because, my bandwidth is kind of low, and I just wanted to thank you. Keep up the good work, man. And
thank you.
Have a good rest of the week.
Thank you, brother. Same to you. I appreciate that. Have a good day. Be safe out there. That's kind. I appreciate that very much. Yeah, we're here. We're here, and we're going to do the battle. So I share that with you, the list of pardons and the list of corruption that's connected to it. And I'll just remind you again who the enemy is, who the threat is. The threat is the people I've done the breakdown for you guys numerous times. Follow the money. In Trump orbit, if you say nice things or contribute to his campaign or do things on his behalf, he will forgive your crimes. It's obvious. He pardoned January 6th traitorous insurrectionists who assaulted police officers. MAGA, conservative Republicans, you can never again, for the history of ever, as my youngest son would always say when he was little, the history of ever, Daddy, in the history of ever, can ever claim to be pro-law enforcement. You're pro-criminal. You're pro-crime. You're pro-corruption. Period. Never again can you ever claim to be about law and order. Never again can you claim to be so concerned about corruption in politics and cheer on the man who put the C in corruption. Period. You've lost the plot. Never again can you claim that you care about the working man. Never. Never again can you claim to care about, the basics of the economy. Never. Never again. You've lost the plot, which is why I want to continue to remind people. I know there's emotions connected to what happened in the Senate 2 days ago. Who is the threat? Who is the threat? And what's at stake if you don't step up and remind yourself exactly who the threat is? Okay? I know. They're scared to say it. You're right, Robin. Bluebird, how are you today?
Oops.
Bluebird, are you there?
That was a mistake. I'm sorry.
It's no problem. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you very much. You got it. Sorry. You think both things can be true? Like what? Like what are those things that can be true? I'm not sure. Good morning, Myron. How are you today? Myron? Good morning. Myron, are you there? Good morning, Myron. Progressive is in your pocket. Are you there? I guess not. Okay. Thanks for playing though, Myron. All right. So as it sits, as I mentioned this earlier, let me quickly thank people. Ruby, thank you so much for your $10 on the green app. I appreciate you very, very much. Also, thank you to Francine. That's an interesting spelling. I like that. Francine said, I only have $1, but I love you. That's very kind of you. Thank you, Francine. I appreciate that. Our friend's name, I don't want to get it wrong. I'm going to say it's Francine. Good morning, Toffee. How are you today?
Hi, good morning. I was just wondering if you were familiar with Project Esther.
I've heard about it. Yes.
And I feel like we need to start getting on top of that the way we tried to get on top of Project 2025. They all called us crazy, and now look where we're at. But Project Esther is a campaign by the Heritage Foundation, a new one, about a year old, that they are trying to criminalize people based on the false accusation that they are anti-Semitic, and they're doing that by targeting anyone who's pro-Palestine or has pro-Palestinian protests in their background, or you've seen it with students already, and they're using that to label them as a Hamas support group.
Let's be careful of TikTok-friendly words, please.
H group, yeah. So it's kind of another one of those tactics, like they're trying to with Antifa now say that that's a terrorist group. They're trying to criminalize the left in any way that they can. So anybody who has empathy for, a suppressed nation or suppressed people is going to be limited or labeled as somebody who is possibly anti-Semitic or pro-H group or pro-T group or anything like that. And if they get to that point, and we can see that they've done it with other things, they can criminalize effectively being left. And I think this is another tactic.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that, though. There's been a lot of talk recently from Republicans criticizing their own party for a lot of their anti-Semitism and a lot of their Yahtzee rhetoric. Finally, that they've been come out and realizing, because we Fuentes, for example, they're going after Fuentes like crazy. But yeah, you're right. Toffee, thanks for bringing that up today. I appreciate
just
it.
thought it was something maybe we could talk about at some point.
I think you're probably right. Thanks for jumping in today. I appreciate
you.
you very much for being here. You got it. Have a good day. I've got a few more folks in the box. Let me, I haven't seen Rose in a while. I'll bring you up in a second, Rose. I just want to give Myron another chance in case it was an accident. Myron, good morning.
Hey, how are you?
Hello?
Yeah, hello, can you hear me?
I can, yes. What's on your mind?
So, I'm sure you know the case with Trump and Stormy Daniels, right?
Yep.
Just out of curiosity, do you think Trump made Stormy Daniels come?
You request the first time. I give you a chance to come back the second time. And that's your take? That's your take? Do you think that was something that people were interested in hearing about? Really? Wow. Hi, Rose.
Hello. Wonderful to see you this morning. Hey, I just wanted to ask if you had heard, and this, I'm finding that it's not making mainstream media, but I think it's kind of huge. And maybe it's not. Maybe I don't know. Anyway, Washington County in Oregon, which is next to Multnomah County, which is Portland. It encompasses Beaverton, Hillsborough, and a bunch of other places, Beaverton being the home of Nike. Anyway, they have declared a state of emergency due to federal actions.
Have not looked into that. We'll get our craft news team on it.
And yes, I mean, to me, this is the little Fort Sumter. Because due to ICE behaviors and the Frosty Group behaviors and what was going on with SNAP and everything else, yeah, they've declared a state of emergency. Which I gotta say, if more counties did that, I think that's powerful. It's not aggressive. It's not rising to the level of calling in militia. Am I wrong in seeing that as kind of a big deal?
I don't know enough about it, Rose, so I can't speak to it. I mean, it sounds pretty, significant. If that's the case. I just don't know. I just don't know anything about it.
All right. So if I could share images, or you can Google it. Just Washington County, Oregon state of emergency.
We'll do a little bit of research on it just to kind of see what the story is. But I appreciate you bringing it to our attention. We have,
have a great rest of your day.
You got it, friend. I appreciate you very much for being here. You got it. There's so much going on. It's hard to keep it all straight. Got you, Tiff. Appreciate you. Okay. Let me bring up another couple of guests. A lot of folks want to talk today. Thank you all for being here. Appreciate it. Don't forget, there's a gifting goal. We are crowdfunded. You want to support the channel? Best way to do that, at Factsstillmatter, Cash App, PayPal, Venmo. Hello, Sean. How are you? Sean?
Like it says D1 on it.
Sean?
It's going to say Pomeranian.
Sean, are you there? Sean, the progressive in your pocket.
Oh, sorry. Somehow, I don't know how I got on here.
Okay, no problem. I don't know how you got on here either. That's fine. No problem. Lewis, how are you this morning?
Hi, very good. Nice to talk.
What's on your mind?
Well, basically, I'm 72 years old. And, I was born in the 50s, grew up in the 60s and the 70s. And I saw, everybody struggle, for civil rights, for women's rights, for LGBTQ rights, for children's rights, for the right of people to have a decent meal. All these things that I watch as I was growing up, and maturing into an adult, I see now being totally destroyed. I mean, I just haven't seen enough outrage, especially from people in my generation, to come out and say, hey, there was a lot of sacrifice that happened in the 50s and the 60s and 70s. People went to jail, people got killed, and people, there was a lot of things going on that people fought for, really hard and really sacrificed for. And right now in these days, it's all going to hell. I mean, everybody's just ignoring the fact that of the struggles that was going on in those 60s and the 70s and even into the 80s. And I just don't see any really backlash about it. I just see, people complain and they say, oh, this, that, the other. But the struggles that we've had have been going on for years, price of gas, the price of food, the price of clothes, your education, how many times hasn't that come up, about, your college, being too expensive, about the schools not giving enough lunch to the kids, all that stuff that's been lost. And, I just really don't see any outrage about it. It's just people that are saying, oh, well, he did it. Now we got to try to, get this little bit back or get that little bit back. Let's try to get some more of our civil rights back. Let's try to get the women more of their rights back. You don't see it. You just hear constant complaining, but really you don't see a really, really big struggle for it. Not like you saw in the 60s and the 70s. You just don't see it. I mean,
I think that's fair.
Protests. But
I think that's fair, Louis. Like we talk about oftentimes is that we have become entitled as citizens of the United States. We become entitled, we become apathetic, and that's how democracies die. That's how authoritarians take over, because people just don't speak up enough. And that I've said this before, on the collective, we got what we deserved by Donald Trump getting elected again. Because people just decided, again, I point a lot of the fingers at entitled leftists for just not showing up. So I'm hoping people have learned their lesson. Like when people go to the polls and vote, you get what we saw last Tuesday. When liberals, progressives, and Democrats show up, we win elections, period. Exactly. It's just that has to happen. I agree. That's my call to motivate more voters. Thanks for jumping in today. I appreciate you for being here, Louis. Thanks a lot. See you later. That speaks to the whole Do Something tour, that we're going to be undertaking likely in the spring, still trying to put some pieces together. The goal is that I want to go out and talk to people across the country who are, I've said this before, I look at non-voters, and you could make generalizations, but I think non-voters in two distinct categories. They're the people that I refer to, the both sidesers, like the people who say, oh yeah, two wings of the same bird. They seem like they're just apathetic and lazy and don't really want to participate. And then there's the people who are just disenfranchised voters who feel like the system does not help them. They don't see anybody standing up for them. They want to. There are things that they really care about, like they want affordability. They want better education. They want access to capital. They don't want to be paying, significant increases in rent and healthcare. They don't see anybody who's helping them. I want to talk to those people. Those are the conversations I want to have. I want to use my white privilege and travel across the country and make those conversations happen. It's going to happen. We're getting more and more people that are reaching out to me and who want to try to help and want to try to support it. We're calling it #DoSomethingTour. So if you start to see that hashtag around a little bit, that's where it kind of comes from. So these are the conversations that I want to have, and I will have somehow, some way. That's my goal. That's my goal. I am one. I just sent you an invitation. Would you come up and talk to me a second? Because I'm just curious about something. Maybe we can find some common ground. I'm not sure if you'll take my request, but maybe you will. Okay. Let's shift gears a little bit. Thank you, Sam. By the way, we got like 6 inches of snow last night. Don't do it. Get your mind out of the gutter. Nothing wrong with 6 inches, right? So the economic news is not good for this administration. I say that because we have to keep reminding people, right, why it's important. Okay, Gatito, I saw your request. I'll bring you up before I shift gears. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you, Steve, for the opportunity to talk to you.
Sure.
This is something that I've been wondering since I learned this data that was published by the Pew Research Center. On this data, they compare by gender and by race, how people voted on 2020, 2016, and the past elections on 2024. And it wasn't a surprise to me, but males, Black males and Latino males, were giving their vote to this individual, this administration. And as you can hear by my accent, I belong to that community. I am Latina, and I have a problem on how to persuade them, how to make them think differently this time for the upcoming elections. So my mind functions with data, and those numbers are hard. Anybody can search for them, and I just would like to understand how we can persuade them to think differently.
Gatito, is your question, how do we get people who are like the marginalized communities that you mentioned, like it's a surprise that there was support for this administration last election? Is that your question?
No, because when they were voting, these male individuals were voting on 2020 and 2016, pretty much the numbers were the same. But it was dramatically changed on 2024. So this, Cheeto, I call him Cheeto because he doesn't deserve from my mouth his name. So gained their vote, and I don't know what to do in order for us to focus on them.
I gotcha. So somebody said this in the chat. People who I've always had questions about how any person from any marginalized community. Now I understand that not every voting bloc is a monolith. There are nuances within each demographic, but I've never understood how any person in any marginalized community, whether it be the Black and brown community, immigrants, LGBTQIA, the disabled community, the elderly, how anybody could vote for the current administration. So whenever I hear veterans, however, whenever these conversations comes up, I always ask myself, how did that happen? And then I'm convinced that that's what the cult is. That's when you convince people that other people are a threat to your way of life. So the question then becomes, how then do we indoctrinate them out of the cult? If you can figure that out, you'll make billions of dollars, because that's what this conversation's for. I think the only way that happens is if finally they realize what we've been telling them collectively, that you're voting literally to harm yourself. And to be honest, Gatito, I'm not focused on that group of people, quite frankly. My focus is on the 75 or 80 million people who don't vote regularly. Those are the ones that we should be talking to. Those are the ones that we can shift. Independent voters who are actively engaged in politics are also really, really skewing away from Trump. And I think it's ultimately going to take them being harmed, to answer your question.
Alrighty, this is very, discouraging. But anyway, I wanted to thank you for making me focus this morning. I was pissed last night. I was crying all day about the 8 Democrats who voted, against to what we believe we needed to continue on this fight. But you're right. They are not the enemies, and we should keep being focused on the Republicans. They are the guilty ones. So just wanted to thank you for that. Keep reminding us about that. Thank you.
I appreciate that, Gatito. Thank you very much, friend. See you later. Have a good day. Be safe out there.
Likewise.
I understand that question and concern. Like, how do we message to them? I don't know if you can. If there are people that are in marginalized communities that are literally voting against their own best interests, I don't know if you can message to them. I don't know the answer. I wish I did. I really wish I did, but ultimately they're gonna have to be harmed. Shame, right? Like, I always thought one of the things that I did, you can judge me if you want to, but I always thought public embarrassment was a great way to raise your kids. I can't believe how awful you sound right now, complaining in front of all your friends. Probably got that from my Italian mother. Anyway, I don't know how to shift that focus. I hope something happens that people wake up and realize, damn, this is bad. I can't be voting for this shit anymore. Yeah, bring shame back. Maybe. All right, so let's talk about, there was an interview that he did with Laura Ingraham yesterday. And he, being the twice impeached, four-time indicted sexually abusing, fraudster, convicted felon, and mentalist predator. And I just want to go through some of the highlights, and we'll talk about them because there's some interesting tells that are in here. So here's the first one.
It was listed as a top concern. I know you know this, for voters in New Jersey.
So affordability was listed as the top concern, is what she's talking about.
In New York, Virginia. And I've been all over the affordability issue today and for the last several months. Eggs, gas, a dinner cost for Thanksgiving way down, but other things, as you noted, have gone up. Beef, coffee,
they're going to come
auto
down very
repairs.
shortly.
Is this a voter
He already said, yeah, but they're going to come down very shortly. Okay.
perception issue of the economy, or is there more that needs to be done by Republicans on Capitol Hill, or done in terms of policy?
More than anything else, it's a con job by the Democrats. They're saying, they just have to say, they put out something, say today costs are up. They feed it to the anchors of ABC, CBS, and NBC, and a lot of other, and CNN, and et cetera. And it's like a standard. I'll never forget, they had used a word like manufactured. Do you remember the word manufactured? It's a manufactured economy. Nobody uses that word. Every anchor broke through manufactured. They do exactly what they say. It's such a rigged system. So are you ready? Costs are way down. Gasoline is going to be hitting $2 pretty soon, or around $2. Gasoline is at $2.70 now, and it was at $4.50 under Biden, under Sleepy Joe. When gasoline comes down, when energy comes down, and everybody agrees energy is down, we're drill baby drill. We're going like wild. We produce more gasoline, oil and gas in the last month than we ever have before, by far. And we're going to also end up filling up the national strategic reserves, which were taken out by Biden in order to try and win an election. Didn't work out too well. They tapped in. That's supposed to be for war, for national emergency, not to get.
So are you saying that voters are misperceiving how they feel, or?
So when I took over.
So that's a good question, Laura. Did you hear that question you asked? So are you saying that that's not true, what voters are telling you?
You remember?
Because you said Biden did that too, because he was saying things were great, but things weren't great.
It's synonymous, Biden and Kamala, because you didn't know who the hell was campaigning. I mean, it got to a point. So I was up by 20 points on Biden or some crazy number. And they said, all right, let's get him out. We'll put a new one. This never happened to anybody. All of a sudden, I have somebody new. And they had the 6-week honeymoon, which was standard in the world of politics. You get a little honeymoon. And she had her little honeymoon, but then eventually people got to know her too. And then they had the 60 Minutes catastrophe where they, changed her answer.
Okay. So, yeah, no. Gas currently is $3.72 a gallon. That is from AAA. That's the national average. Compared to what it was a year ago, was it's $3.07 a gallon. A year ago, it was $3.08 a gallon. The national average. Holly, you can't use a state number. It's the national average. Can we get some basic understanding of how numbers work? You can't look at your local 7-Eleven or Piggly Wiggly and say, hey, I paid $2.49 a gallon. That's the price. Doesn't work that way. The national average for gas, according to AAA, was $3.07 compared to $3.08 a year ago. There is no state that has a state average of $2. The only one that I could find, I think that the lowest one I could find, I think it was Mississippi. Hang on a second. Mississippi's average as of today is $2.60. That's the closest that I could find. 263 in Louisiana? Okay, that's the closest I could find. Here's the problem, though, that people aren't talking about. Diesel. Diesel today, $3.74 a gallon. Diesel a year ago, $3.54 a gallon. MAGA, $3.74 is more than $3.54. Again, $3.74 is more than $3.54. So if you're scraping around your couch looking for spare change and you stack them up neatly on the table and you have a pile that says $3.74 compared to a pile that says $3.54, that means that you have more money by 20 cents. So if the cost of diesel today is $3.74 and it was $3.54 a year ago, that means the price is up. My God. Thank you, Gregory. Yeah, diesel affects the price of everything. Why is that so difficult to understand? Now, should I use the hat? Let's do this one. I don't even know what that is. Okay, there's a new gifting goal. Thank you, guys. I'm trying to remind you guys in the chat, MAGA, please listen for a second. The president is telling you that gas is cheaper. Okay? Thank you. The president is telling you that the gas is cheaper. It's a penny cheaper. Okay? But diesel, which is the lifeblood of the American economy, truck drivers know full well, diesel prices are up 20 cents compared to last year. We drilled more oil under the Biden administration than we ever have in our nation's history. And that was one of my criticisms against the Biden administration. I wanted to move away from that dependency, but I get it. And by the way, the Strategic Oil Reserve is not just for wartime. In fact, it's by design to use to relieve pressure of oil fragility on supply chains across the globe. That's what Joe Biden did. And you know what else Joe Biden did? He sold it for more than he bought it for, which means he turned a profit. So stop being so fucking dumb. Speaking of diesel and speaking of the trucking industry, let's speak to a trucker. He can tell you. Good morning, my friend. How are you?
Good, man. Good. Yeah. Yeah. Diesel affects everything. Yeah, and it's not down, and he's lying. Hey, I wanted to just get your thoughts on this $2,000 rebate he's talking about. Is that just going to fade away? So I'd like to hear you talk on that. And then the other thing was he said 12 months in, he'll have our energy prices cut in half. And looking at my utility bills, that's not the deal. So I'm going to...
Here's the issue, and this is a perfect example. When the president says something, his voters just believe it. It took me, 4 seconds to go to gasprices.aaa.com. You can even go to the EIA. That's even another version. Let's go there. The EIA, which is the U.S. Energy Information Administration, they track it too. They have a bit of a different number, but they have gas at $3.19 for October, which is the exact same price it was in January. And by the way, MAGA, in December of 2024, the last full month of the Biden administration, according to the EIA, gas was $3.13 a gallon, which means that Donald Trump has raised your gas prices. But you don't believe that, do you? You don't believe the information, the same information that the Biden administration, this is a collective, so they combine everything. Whereas AAA just breaks it down by gap, by blends, by grade, by diesel, by regular, right? Tommy Gunn, are you really that dumb that you just want to sit in the chat and just spew your nonsense? Or do you have enough courage to come up in the box and talk to me? I don't think you do have the courage. I think you'll just sit there and smell your own farts. But whatever. So again, I'll remind you, friends, that you're being lied to. And let's see how Tommy can handle a conversation.
Go crying.
Why am I? I'm not crying. Hello, Tommy. How are you today?
I'm
hello,
doing
Tommy.
good.
How are you today?
I'm doing good. How about you?
I'm doing great, man. Doing great. Yeah, but actually, I don't like people suffering. Are you cool with people suffering?
Oh, I'm doing great.
So I'm asking about you, Tommy.
It's
what about
the
other people?
It's the Democrats that are making them suffer.
Really? How is that? Explain.
Yeah. Well, we already voted to approve everything. They're the ones that are voting no. All they got.
What's your healthcare plan? What's your healthcare plan, Tommy?
Oh, mine? Oh, I got good.
No, not yours. Not yours, Tommy. The healthcare plan.
My healthcare plan is fine.
Tommy. I'm not asking about you because I know you're selfish. I'm asking a healthcare plan for everybody else.
I'm not worried about anybody else's healthcare plan.
Of course you're not. Thank you for proving my point. I knew exactly where that was going. Thank you for proving my point. I don't care about anybody else. I care about myself. That, friends, right there is a fundamental difference. Remind you who the fucking enemy is. You can blame those 8 Democrats if you want, but they're not up there talking about themselves. They're talking about others. Again, you can criticize them. You have every right to do so. Hold your elected official accountable, but they're up there fighting for other people. That is exactly what... Tommy, thank you for proving our point. Thank you for proving our point. I don't give a fuck about anybody else. I care about myself. If you cared about yourself, then you're paying more for things. Who are you going to blame? What about Biden? You're welcome. Tommy, your would be YOU''RE, Tommy. I just want to let you know that, okay? It's really important that we're able to have these conversations. If you're going to do that, though, you got to make sure you spell it right. That would be YOU''RE, be contraction. You are, like you are welcome. You are welcome. Your feet smell would be the appropriate way to use your. You're an idiot would be YOU''RE. You are an idiot. You're selfish. YOU''RE. You're selfish. You are selfish. So just like you've been indoctrinated, you have been indoctrinated into the cult. You are, YOU''RE, a traitor to your country because you don't give a fuck about others. Glad we had this talk. Appreciate you. Hello, my friend. How are you?
I'm good. Sorry about the other day. I got a phone call right when you put me up on the in the box.
It's okay.
I just had a thought. We were talking about the generation thing, and it just blows my mind. We may have talked about this before, that the peace, love, rock and roll generation, which is the boomers, basically, completely flipped. They're like the ones, they're the selfish, hoarding, money hoarding, me people now. Because when I was growing up, I remember everything was about the environment, and racism was, we were dealing with it. They had that song, the ink is black, the page is white. You know,
the words
we
are black.
all
the
of
page
that
is
stuff.
White. That's right.
The words are
white.
Yeah. And that same generation is basically the one that turned around and have been extremely selfish and greedy.
Yeah, I think right, and we just saw a perfect example of it. How many? I mean, we hear about it all the time. This is a fundamental difference between people on the right and people on the left. We see it all the time. Conservatives have always been about themselves. They don't give a shit about the community. They just don't care. They do not care. They will never make a sacrifice for anybody other than themselves. Period. That's it.
Yep.
That's the full story.
I know. It's crazy.
Yeah, it is. It is. Thank you, Heather, as always, for being here, friend. I appreciate you.
Oh, you too.
See you later. All right, bye. Again, isn't it hilarious, though, just to witness that? We see it all the fucking time. All right, I want to get into... let's go back to some of the pricing, because the continued lies. The reason he doesn't want to talk about affordability... The reason that he doesn't want to talk about affordability is because his economic policies are driving the prices up everywhere. Again, who is the enemy? Corporate handouts, tax breaks that overwhelmingly benefit the rich. And we're going to get into this promise of a $2,000 rebate. We'll talk about that in a minute. That's fucking hilarious. But let's talk about some of the costs of goods that are going up across the country right now. Because we know it. First of all, the inflation rate is at 3%. It's up. The Fed likes to see it between 2 and 3%. So it's on the top end of where they like it. And there's questions about manipulation of currency, where that number could potentially be even higher. Don't forget, his own Solicitor General goes to the Supreme Court, right, to try to and then asked a question by John Roberts. I think I have that sound. Yeah, here you go. This is great. This is the whole fucking game.
In Supreme Court, Chief Justice Roberts said that tariffs are taxes, that they're paid by Americans.
Tariffs and dealings with foreign powers, but the vehicle is imposition of taxes on Americans, and that has always been the core power of Congress. So
the notion that the taxes are all borne by Americans and are not borne by foreign producers whose goods are imported is empirically there's no basis for that in the record. It's actually a mix.
Well, who pays the tariffs? If a tariff is imposed on automobiles, who pays them?
Typically there'd be regardless of who the importer of record is, there'd be a contract that would go along the sort of line of transfer that would allocate the tariff, and there'd be different. Sometimes the foreign producer would pay them. Sometimes the importer would bear the costs. The importer could be an American, could be a foreign company.
Then do you agree then that Americans are paying those tariffs?
I think, no, I don't agree. I think that they might be paying something, but when you take the overall impact, the Americans are gaining tremendously. They're gaining through national security. Look, I'm ending war because of these tariffs. Americans would have to fight in some of these wars. They're gaining in national security. They're gaining in economics. They're gaining in so many different ways. And they're gaining a laugh at us. They would charge us tariffs. Japan was...
Oh, trust me, Peepaw. They're fucking laughing at us.
Charging us massive tariffs, and yet they wouldn't allow our cars to be sold in Japan. But they were selling 9 million cars here, but they wouldn't allow one car. Not one car was sold in Japan. They don't laugh at us anymore. This is really a matter of, this is national security. And by the way, going bankrupt is national security. You know, our country was really in trouble. Going bankrupt, and the difference between going bankrupt and thriving, that's also national security.
Okay, Peepaw. The Solicitor General, who is there to represent the government in their argument at the Supreme Court regarding IEEPA. So IEEPA is the legal language that the Trump administration is attempting to use to justify their tariffs. It's not going well for them. Because the argument was there's an economic, it's a national security disaster. But yet at the same time, he's talking about how we are enriching ourselves. You know it's bad. You know it's bad when, again, the Solicitor General, John Sowers, the guy who's got, the raspy voice, who is going to the Supreme Court arguing on behalf of the Trump administration. Last night on Truth Social, the president said this.
The U.S. Supreme Court was given the wrong numbers. The unwind in the event of a negative decision on tariffs would be, including investments made, to be made, and return of funds in excess of $3 trillion. It would not be possible to ever make up for that kind of a drubbing. That would truly become an insurmountable national security event and devastating to the future of our country, possibly non-sustainable. The U.S. Supreme Court was given the wrong numbers.
Who the fuck gave them the numbers, dumbass? What wrong numbers? I mean, what wrong numbers were they given? Your guy is there presenting your case. What wrong numbers were they given? Is it 3 trillion? Is it 17 trillion? Is it 21 trillion? What numbers were they given that were wrong? What? So Tommy, you probably think that that's true, don't you? Because Tommy, you're Y-O-U apostrophe R-E, dumb. You need help. You're Y-O-U apostrophe R-E, an idiot. What the fuck numbers is he talking about? Because I don't know. Overstreet, how are you today?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
Fine, thank you. What's on your mind?
I just wanted to come on here because I did come up here yesterday. I was one of your viewers, but I wanted to say, for one, I did not want to seem like I was attacking you at all, but I do feel like, as you said, we all should be challenged, and that improves us all daily.
Agreed.
But what I feel like today you've been coming at us with is like, we still have to remember that Republicans are the bad guys and Democrats are the good guys. And
Did I say good guys? Overstreet, did I say the Democrats were the good guys?
Or they're pushing the good agenda. I don't, whatever, like, I'm just saying, like, we're still on the good team, I feel like, or we should be fighting them.
Who's fighting? Who's pushing? Think about that. Who's fighting for healthcare?
No, I understand what you're saying. But what I'm trying to say is that, like, so hold on. So what I'm trying to get at is, I understand all of those things, but I feel like that agenda does not win us elections. And I feel like that's what we have seen these last couple elections, that we can't just push external bad, internal is good, because we see the approval ratings right now about our internal political party, and it's not good, but we still do have this agenda that the Trump administration is horrible, and I still agree with that. But I feel like every single time we let our politicians slide, we're diluting our vote. So I hate everything that Trump is doing right now, but I can at least say that he is going through every avenue, legal or non-legal, to try to push his agenda. And I feel like Democrats, we do not get that same push with our vote when we get somebody in office. And I feel like when we have politicians like these 8, we should call it out every single time, because we aren't getting our agenda passed because we are just letting it slide.
So let's talk about, since you talk about elections, what's happened in special elections in the last year, Overstreet?
Yes, I understand we are winning those elections, but that's not because of...
Hold on. It's not just a matter of winning. It's a matter of winning like 98% of them. So I would challenge you. I would challenge you to say that the messaging on affordability, on healthcare, on standing up against fascism and authoritarianism is working. So if your argument is that it's not effective and it's not helping us win elections, then that doesn't support your argument. Just in Virginia alone, we flipped 18 seats in this last election, including 2 seats in the Public Service Board in Georgia, who haven't been held by a Democrat since 2006.
And what has the exiting polling showing? Is showing that they are against Trump. They're not necessarily hoorah for the Democratic Party, but they are against Trump. And I feel like we cannot continue that, because Trump is not going to be here forever, and we're going to have other politicians step in his place for the Republican Party. And I feel like we, as voters, we need to hold those 8 people accountable, because that just dilutes our vote. So we will vote these people in. The voters are going to do their job for the Democratic Party, but then what? We have to get results as well.
Okay, Overstreet, but again, there's a big piece that you're missing here, right? There's a big piece that you're missing here. The affordability issue was a winning formula. Not just Trump's issue, but affordability in general. The American Republic has said Republican economic policies do not make things affordable for me. Period.
Yes. And
every election, whether it's a special election or a midterm, is always a referendum on the party in charge. What the American public, in particular independents, we're going to talk about independent polling in just a minute. Independents are like, this is bullshit. This economic formula is bullshit. Economic formula at the root of Republican policy is tax cuts for the rich, deregulation so the rich get richer, and not funding social programs. That's been consistent for 50 years. That's not. It's not just Trump. He just adds the fascist seasoning on top.
Yeah, I 100% agree. It just frustrates me that we just let our politicians slide, and we, for some reason, as Democrats, we can't hold together as a party when Republicans can see all these people starving and stuff and still not even care. But like simple things like the Triple K party, they're still not a they're still not a terrorist group, but we have peaceful protesters as a terrorist group now, but we can't do that as a Democratic Party. I don't understand those simple things that we just let our politicians slide on.
You just walked into the point. Republicans stay united no matter what. And Democrats are now going to circular firing squad because of 8 Democrats voting in a way that people didn't like.
Yes, but those are what the voters wanted. Their voters wanted us, the Democratic voters wanted them to stay together, stay solid, but we can never do that. We always have to be the grown-ups in the room and give in. We can never stand up for our voters.
Overstreet, you're angry at the wrong people. You're angry at the wrong people.
I feel like we can be both angry at the current administration as well as our party to get our in-house.
But what are you going to do? Right, but what are you going to do with the next election?
We need to be asking for these people that are not pushing our agenda to either step down.
I'm asking you, Overstreet. I'm asking you what you are going to do at the next election.
The only thing I can do personally is vote. That's the only thing I can do.
Vote for whom?
The people that push the agenda that we want. I feel like the reason why Democrats came out for Mindani, people like Obama, is because they said that I am not going to go with the status quo. I am going to push my agenda that we want, regardless if they were successful or not. That's what they told their voters. We're not going to take no for an answer. We're going to push our agenda. And that's why I feel like Democrats come out in droves for people like that, because they're tired of people that just tell them we're going to do something but never do.
But corporate Democrats did not back Mamdani, Overstreet.
Yeah, I'm not saying that, but the voters did, because he said, I am going to do what we want no matter what. I'm not going to take no for an answer. And the voters came out in droves for him.
They didn't come out in droves for him. I mean, 1 million people in New York voted for Cuomo. So no, voters did not come out in droves.
Well,
so
it's the largest in a long time, but yes.
I think you're missing the big picture here. Okay, the big picture. Do you believe that we should have affordable health care?
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing with any of the policy. I'm disagreeing with the representation.
Bro, one at a time. One at a time. Let's go through this one at a time. Do you believe in affordable health care?
I do, yes.
Okay, good. If you believe in affordable health care, do you believe in that we should look at why we're not taxing corporations and the rich more? Change the tax policy.
Yes.
Okay. Do you believe that we should be overfunding public education, for example?
I do.
Okay. So then when the time comes to vote, whomever the person is, even if they don't go far enough to support what you want, what are you going to do?
Only thing I can do personally is vote and speak out on what I see is wrong. That's the only thing I can do as a voter.
Okay, so if you're faced with it, I want this to get right down to the bottom, right to the core. If you're faced with a Democrat who you may not agree with entirely, or a status quo Republican who opposes the things that you decided, who are you going to vote for?
Steve, I'm still going to vote for the Democrat because that's my agenda, but I still think we need to hold them accountable because they are not standing up. They get our votes every time because they know what the people want, but they are not holding themselves accountable. They are not showing up for us when we are showing up for them every single time.
I don't agree. I just don't agree. I don't agree with that. I think you're looking for perfection, and we've got to stop looking for perfection. Again, like you walked into the point how Republicans will vote for their person no matter what. And my concern is, just like what happened in 2024, people on the left didn't get exactly what they wanted, so they just checked out. I absolutely agree that we need to hold our elected officials accountable. Absolutely. Absolutely. But until we can change the system, we cannot focus on perfection. And I'm concerned that that's what people are looking for. And I got to move on, Overstreet, because we spent a lot of time talking yesterday. But just keep that in mind when the time comes, okay?
All right.
Just keep that in mind when the time comes. Thank you, bud. Appreciate you. It's part of the same conversation we were having yesterday. We got to stop looking for perfection, guys. I absolutely believe that we should be holding our elected officials accountable, because the right certainly doesn't. Absolutely hold them accountable. No doubt about it. If you want to primary them, primary them. Absolutely. My question, though, is when the time comes for you to make a decision to vote, who are you going to vote for? Oftentimes, your vote is going to come down to harm reduction. It's not perfect. If you are looking for perfection, you're going to get J.D. Vance. If you're looking for perfection, you're going to get MTG, by the way, because she's running for president. If you're looking for perfection, you're going to get what happened the last time. That's why I say we as a collective are responsible for Donald Trump getting elected again, because we got to stop looking for perfection. People see it that way. A lot of people are seeing it that way. That's the problem. All right. I got a lot of folks that want to chat, but there's a few things that I wanted to cover, guys. So if you just hang in there, and don't forget, there's a gifting goal. If you want to support the channel, best way to do that is through the various pay apps that are Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, and they're all at Factsstillmatter. Let me just check in here real quick. Let's keep in mind who the enemy is. It's these people. It's the people who do not want you to have health care, that are asking the Supreme Court to say, hey, please tell me it's okay that I don't have to feed people. Yeah, it was record high votes. I'm not questioning that, Jen. But 1 million people in New York still voted for Cuomo. I mean, come on. Let's be real. Try to move. Here's some advice. You could be discouraged. You could feel like you're elected a candidate on the left is not progressive enough for you, but you walk into that voting booth and you have a decision to make. Could be I can't stand moderate Democrats. I can't stand them. I will primary, I will support, I will advocate for progressive candidates across the country. Absolutely. But when the time comes to vote, I'm going to say which person is going to try to do their best to protect my health care, to protect my daughter's rights to her body, to stand for education, to stand for marginalized communities, to stand for human rights. And that's where my vote's going to go. That's what it comes down to in our system until we can change it. Until we can change it. That's the argument that I'm trying to make here. Okay? Stop looking for perfection, because you're not going to get it. I'm telling you. I've seen this happen too many times. This is the circular firing squad that Democrats have. So please keep that in mind. Deborah, thank you so very much for your kindness and your contribution. I appreciate you. Don't overcomplicate it, you guys. Don't overcomplicate it. Use that energy that Overstreet has. Use it. Question your elected officials. Hold them accountable. When the time comes, what are you going to do? The last election, in my opinion, last week, wasn't just a referendum on Trump. Sure, part of it was, no doubt about it. But it's also what we're seeing economically. And the impact that Trump era and Republican era policies are having on the working class. We need 15 hearts from Unique Hearts to hit our flash goal. Thank you, guys. Okay, let's move on to a couple other topics. I want to go back to the Supreme Court issue, because I don't know if we got into this when it came out about this whole situation with tariffs. The entire economic agenda of the Trump administration is connected to tariffs. The promise that he made his voters to lower prices, we knew that wasn't going to happen, right? We certainly knew that was not going to happen. So when you put all your collective eggs in that one basket, thank you guys. When you put your eggs in that one basket and the Supreme Court says you have overreached here, where do you go? That's why Trump's saying they're made up numbers. Even by my guy made up the numbers. So this is, I forget this gentleman's name, Steve Ratner. He's an economist, and he's just talking about the impact of what happens when and if the court strikes this down.
Chief Justices expressed some skepticism, but we don't know how they're ruled, not yet. But let's say, for the sake of argument, they do say the president does not have the authority to impose these tariffs. They have to go away. What we've heard from Trump.
Yes, Chuck Schumer needs to go. Totally agree.
Blustering, well, that will crush the American economy if that's the case. Can you tell us what will actually happen? Well, it's going to be a big mess. First of all, we don't know how they're going to rule, but the prediction markets, for what it's worth, think there's over an 80% chance that the president's going to lose. So then you come to at least two, and maybe more implications for us. One is the tariffs have been bringing in a significant amount of revenue, $200 billion in the government fiscal year that just ended, projected $300 billion in the fiscal year that just started. And so maybe nobody cares about the deficit, but that is revenue. The second question is, what do you do?
Right.
Does the court order that this money be refunded? You'd think that if money was taken illegally from companies or individuals, they should get it back. But unwinding that and figuring out who gets what money, you can't even begin to imagine what that does. The third thing that is going to be an unbelievable mess is that Trump went off and did all these trade deals using these tariffs as his bargaining chip with the Europeans, with whomever. And so all those other countries are going to say, well, wait a minute, if you don't even have the authority to use the weapon that you were using to get us to do this deal, then we're out of here and no more deal. And you get to go start all over again. There's nothing that business hates more than uncertainty. And business has now been planning around a set of tariffs in terms of moving some production back here, doing this, that, and the other thing. And now they're going to have to figure out what to do next. And it could be weeks or months before we even know what this decision is. And so he has basically taken the ball and kind of thrown it in the grandstand, and there will be significant economic consequences of all of it.
Yeah. When you've connected this entire thing to your economic policy is for tariffs, and the Supreme Court's likely going to rule against you, you don't have a backup plan. Because you were never concerned about stimulating the American economy the right way, as opposed to just saying, let's enrich ourselves. Let's make sure that my corporate donors get richer and richer and richer. And there's no backup plan. So we're already seeing the doom and gloom of his economic policies working against him. So here we are again. Here we are again. Hang on a second. All right. Let me just check in here for real quick. I want to talk about Bernie because he's right. I know people are critical of Bernie, and there's lots of reasons to be critical. There's a lot of things in his past that I would certainly question, but from a progressive perspective, his voice has been the one that resonates. Question him if you want to. Sure, there's some old guy microaggressions connected to him that they're absolutely real. But I think this particular clip is sort of what I think I'm trying to get people to realize, that we can primary people all day long. But we have a system right now. People want to blow up the system. This is what's going to happen. Listen, I look at my political identification bounces around between like a pragmatic progressive and a nihilistic progressive. Like, I want to blow the shit up so we can rebuild it, but I'm also pragmatic enough to know that if we do that, there's got to be a solution at the other side. So what's it going to look like? What it's going to look like, in my opinion, is democratic socialism, because it's going to work, right? There are things in Zohran Mamdani's policy platform that's going to benefit everybody, period. And that's what conservatives and Republicans and the corporate donors are afraid of. That's what they are afraid of it working. Imagine that. Imagine that they're afraid of public transportation working for people, free childcare working for people, rent control working for people, taxing the rich working for people. They're afraid of that, right? This is Bernie on this sort of what I was just talking about.
Who at this point have confidence in Chuck Schumer to lead the Democratic caucus?
It's not Schumer. Look, it is.
I disagree, Bernie. It is Schumer.
It goes deeper than Schumer. It is no secret to anybody who follows these things that there is a division within the Democratic Party. Chuck represents the establishment wing, the corporate wing, raises a lot of money, as do Republican leaders. They raise zillions of dollars from wealthy people and super PACs and all that stuff. I represent a different wing in the Democratic Party. It's the wing that Mamdani won with in New York City. And we are now supporting candidates all over this country, candidates for the Senate, candidates for the House, who are prepared to deal with this horrific level of income and wealth inequality, prepared to deal with the fact that we are the only major country not to guarantee health care to all people. We have a terrible housing crisis that we should not be giving $1 trillion in tax breaks to the 1%. So the question is the future of the Democratic Party. I think it's a future where you have candidates who are prepared to stand up to big money, represent the working class of this country, and fight for an agenda that works for all, not just the 1%.
Well, he's leading you all in the Senate right now. Do you think he should be replaced?
By whom? Well, that's the point. The question is if somebody, look, again, Schumer's views are very different than mine. He is an establishment Democrat, no secret. I am not. I hope that by electing new members of the Senate, we will have, in fact, new leadership. But right now, it is what it is.
Can't really say it any better than that. I completely agree that we need an overhaul within our party. Bernie, though, when the time comes, if there are two candidates on the ballot, one is a Republican whose economic policies are put us in the position we're in, and another one is a moderate status quo Democrat, he's going to vote the Democrat. That's the system we're in, friends. It starts at the dog catcher level. It starts locally. The more progressive you elect down ballot, the more progressives get elected to federal office. That's the system. That's the system. If you want to change the system, then what are you going to do to fix the system? If you want more progressives, then what are you willing to do to get more progressives elected? If you want more options in your voting, what are you going to do? Are you going to petition your members of Congress to introduce legislation to encourage ranked choice voting nationwide? These are the kinds of things you want. I want more options. I don't like the two-party system because it doesn't represent me. Again, I've said this before. I look at the Democrats as public transportation. It gets me closer to where I want to go. I'm willing to walk or drag myself the rest of the way. I'm fortunate. I'm a registered progressive in my state. That we have a strong progressive party in the state that doesn't exist. But at some point, right, there's got to be younger. I don't want to use age. There just needs, ideologically, there needs to be more progressives involved in Congress. And we've not made the commitment yet as a nation to do that. And why is the question? Why? It's on us. I hear what Overstreet was saying, and I agree. I totally agree. But we've got to get that momentum, and it's got to start down ballot. It's got to start down ballot. And like I've said before, don't settle. If you want your candidate, if you want universal health care, then demand that your policy or your candidate talks about it. The reason that we're in this fight over health care is because we don't have universal health care. The reason we're in this fight now for the cost of subsidies going up is because we don't have a single payer system like Medicare for all, for example. That's it. If you want these kinds of things, if you want nice things, then demand nice things. The Republican Party, they'll settle for fucking shit. They don't care. They voted for shit. They just see it as winning. That's all they care about. They do not care. I mean, we've heard that a couple of guesses today, they proved it. They don't give a fuck about others. They don't care. They don't care about other people. We do. Yeah, we need an overhaul to our social safety net programs. We need to make sure that Social Security is protected, not like what the Republicans want to do, and they want to privatize it. That's part of it. So if you want these things, then fight for these things, right? Fight for them. And again, I don't want to revisit yesterday because we sort of put that aside, but I want options. I want health care. I want public education to be overfunded. I want the best education system in the world. Until we can get money out of politics, which means getting corporate Democrats out of politics, which means primarying them, which means voting for the alternative. Until that happens, what do you get? Would you rather have a Democrat or a Republican? That's the decision you have to make. We're going to go through the fundamentals just in the last 50 years. That's the decision. That's it. Get the lobbyists out. In fact, I would ban lobbying. Like if you were ever a lobbyist, you cannot hold public office. And if you ever leave public office, you cannot become a lobbyist. Overturn Citizens United. Stack the fucking courts. Take out the filibuster. Get rid of the electoral college. Seriously. So this is what I'm talking about, right? This is what I'm talking about. It's more than we have to look. Everybody's got to look past the federal elections. You got to look past that. You got to look down ballot. You got due respect. Put your money where your mouth is. Run for office. If you feel like you've got a progressive agenda, then run for office. Even if you don't run with the intent to win, even if it's just run with the intent to say, why the fuck do we have to tolerate this bullshit? Why do we have to sit here and get raw dogged all day long? I'm fucking tired of that shit. I'm not getting any younger. I want women in charge. That's what I want. You put a progressive woman on a ballot and get the fuck out of the way. Seriously, because that would change the entire outlook of our country. Entire outlook. Things that we all care about would get prioritized. Period. We would have the best education system. We would have the best healthcare system. We would have tax reform. We would be talking about things that they take for granted in other countries, like childcare, like obvious protections for women's rights to their body, of all things, so fucking radical. If you want these kinds of things, then what are you going to do to make it happen? What's your role? What part do you play? What's the something that you're going to do? I don't know. Hello, Soup. How are you today?
How's it going, Steve? You doing all right?
I'm good, man. You?
I'm all right. Part of me wanted to hash up the discussion from yesterday that you were having with the crowd. I don't fully agree with what you're saying. I think that people going out to vote was a sure sign that the Democrats had support in their stance to continue with the shutdown. I think there was a lot of support going in that direction. I do think that they kind of forfeited any kind of goodwill that was being gained by signing on to this. But I'll leave that for yesterday. I also want to bring up, I don't fully agree with doing away with lobbyists. I think money out of politics is good. I agree with you there. I think we need to get Citizens United turned over. But I think lobbyists en masse, we need lobbyists to go and speak on our behalf for things. I mean, we have lobbyists that go up there and lobby for green energy initiatives. Those are important. We need those to support those kind of things. That's why I think we need to keep lobbyists around. There's a difference between a lobbyist and putting corporate money and bribes and legalizing those.
So let me challenge that a little bit, Soup, because if you're saying, yeah, I would agree, it'd be great to have people lobbying for public education reform or lobbying for green energy, but then you have to take everything else along with it. You can't pick and choose. It's either you get everything or you get
that's
nothing.
America.
I
That's
understand
America.
that,
We allow that.
but I would rather have big oil, big pharma, big tobacco, corporate interests. I'd rather have them gone. I would be willing to sacrifice lobbyists for things that I support to get rid of the rest.
Well, that's why you would get rid of money. You would get rid of the Citizens United. You would get rid of basically the legal bribery that these companies are allowed to do.
Yeah, get rid of those too. Get rid of that too.
So you can reform lobbying.
Sure.
But I still think it's a necessary thing for the amount of people we have in this country. We need people to approach
but Erica
Congress.
just pointed out, but lobbyists use the money too. So again, it doesn't necessarily have to be through Citizens United. There's just too much money connected to politics. I hear what you're saying. I'd love to have lobbyists that supported the things that I want, but I would rather get rid of all of them. To be honest, I would rather get rid of all of them. If you want to have nonprofits be the voice of lobbying initiatives, then sure. Make it a registered 501c3 or whatever that might be, then sure, no problem. But it can't exist. We can't pick and choose.
Pick and choose as far as what?
Well, if we're going to continue lobbyists, then we're going to have to accept some of the trash as well, right?
I understand. Again, that's kind of the freedoms of America. It sucks that we allow things like that to happen, but again, I think in whole, like, lobbying can be used for good.
I'd like to think it could be, and yes, it can be. But then all of a sudden we get like Pam Bondi, for example, was a lobbyist. There's so many examples. I mean, K Street in DC, if you've ever been there, that's why their brownstones are two or three or $4 or $5 million because of the public interest from lobbying. So yeah, I would agree. Get rid of Citizens United, and I'd ban lobbying. I hear what you're saying. Sure, there's opportunities for good causes to be promoted, but I'd rather just change the entire system. And until we can do that, I'd rather say it's done. It's done. Somebody come back to me with a better formula and a better plan.
Sure, I hear you. I just wanted to speak on that for a second.
I appreciate that, buddy. Thanks for jumping in today. Thanks for being here, man. Talk to you later. I get it. I get it. But if we're talking about changing the system, then let's change the fucking system. I get to fanboy. Hello, friend.
Don't do it.
Did it. Too late. Too late.
Hey,
I did it.
good morning. How are you? I'm
I'm
doing
good.
well. I'm
What's
doing
going
well.
on?
Nothing. I was just thinking, no, we can't have lobbyists. We got to get rid of them because,
Yeah.
unfortunately, the system corrupts, and they all end up using money, no matter the cause. Even if they're lobbying for education, they're still using money to influence. So we have to get rid of that entire system. So no more lobbyists. Get them out of there.
Yeah.
I did see
Yeah.
someone in the comments say they want regular people in power, like running for office. The thing is, they all start out as regular people. They do. They all start out like I look at Barack Obama, like he was a regular person, exceptional, of course, but still a regular person, and he got into politics. And I don't think that Obama is corrupted, but he is a politician, is he not? And so there were certain
Sure.
things that he did have to do. So when we say that we want like regular people in office, like what do we really mean by that? And also, I had a question for you. So I think about that. What do we mean by that?
It's a great question. And maybe I might have been with you and Hector in either your live or his live. We were talking about this. Like if we're encouraging more people, more regular people to run for office, then that means we have to take everything from their past, from their current, from their future. Like I personally, I would rather have flawed humans like the rest of us running for office. I'm sick and tired of looking at politicians differently. We all should be held to a high standard. Why do we feel like we need to hold politicians to a higher standard when we're all just humans? So that's why I would rather just elect real fucking people and take the good with the bad. We all make mistakes. We're all human, right?
Yep. I agree with you. And at the same time, though, I look at a person like who sits in the Oval Office right now, like that guy, he's a bad moral character. Like, so there's like a difference between someone at like 20 years old saying some outrageous stuff versus like them having a lifelong history of saying and doing deplorable shit. Can we curse him? Can I curse over here?
Fuck yeah, you can.
Okay, fuck yes. All right, great. So it's like there's
Come
a
on, you know me
difference.
well enough to know that. You know me well enough
I
to know
wanted
the
to
answer to
make
that
sure,
question.
like I've seen this before. I think Steve cusses sometimes. Okay, but it's just like we have this thing where they can't the purity test. I always talk about the purity test, and I can't stand it. It's like if they had like a messed up view at 20 years old, they're now 50 or 40, and it's like, oh well, you thought that at one time, so you still think that. And it's like, no, people do in fact change. I mean, as humans, we evolve. That is different than a person like Trump, who literally to this day is doing abhorrent shit. Like he's saying the most outrageous stuff. Like yesterday, him lashing out at air traffic controllers when they are
I know.
going through probably one of the most toughest times in their careers and like
Correct.
in their lives. That's awful. That's a lack of leadership skills there is what we're seeing. He's just not a good person. And so we have
Agreed.
that. But then I also have another question. Where do you start?
Yes.
Where do you start when you want to run for office? Like, how do you even do it? Like, what do you do?
You go to
Because
your
what do you
secretaries
do?
of you start at your secretary of state's office, because in every
Okay.
state, unlike what our president thinks, you start at your secretary of state's office, and that's the place to start. Every state does things a little bit different. There's timing depending on the public office that you want to run for, whether or not you have to make a party declaration. That's
Okay.
where I would start. Actually, since you brought that up, I think we will do a little tutorial
Awesome.
about what's involved. Then I have a
Okay.
question for you. So that's where I would start. Contact your Secretary of State's office or your city clerk. If you live in a small town, contact your town clerk, your municipal offices, whatever that might be, and say, "I want to run for office. How do I start?"
Awesome. Okay. All right. Cool. So that could be a place to start. When you hold that live, do that tutorial, I'll definitely be watching. What question did you
Okay.
have for me?
So you have a kid, right?
Yes.
Just one or just one? One's
Yeah.
enough,
Don't
right?
don't 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 put more on me.
Gotcha.
Just
Fair,
one.
fair enough. And you raise your kid. I mean, I know you, and
Hmm.
you're awesome. And I do fanboy, so get over it.
Okay. I'll
The
try.
Okay, fair enough. You and Hector. But so whenever you and Hector are in the room together, the only person prettier than Hector would be you. Just want to let you know that. He knows. If
Ah.
you know, you. If you know, you know. If you know, you know. I saw him in the chat. You're raising your kid to be accountable, right? To just own your
Yes.
shit. Like if you make a
Yes.
mistake, just own it,
Hmm.
and that's how you grow, and that's what we should want from our elected representatives. I just want somebody to say, listen, I voted for this, or I had this indiscretion in my past and I've owned it. I fucked up. I'm human. We just don't see that enough in
No, we don't.
politics, and that's because of the money side, because they can't risk losing access to their cash cow, right?
That is
So
true.
right? So would you agree that you would just like to see your politicians just be accountable?
Yes, I just want them to be accountable and like be beholden to us, the constituents, not your darn going corporate sponsors. That bothers me so bad
Exactly.
because I am gonna bring it back to yesterday because it's still ongoing. The government isn't reopened, and
Mm-hmm.
now all of this for naught. We this what was it for? Like we literally showed on Tuesday that this country is ready for some type of change. It was in stark contrast to what happened November, what was it, November 5th of, was it November 5th or November 4th of 2024? I can't remember.
Fifth. The
Thank you.
fifth.
It was
No,
the
I'm
5th.
sorry. It was the
Okay.
it was the
It was
fourth
the
because my son's
4th.
birthday. It was the fourth. Yes. Yep.
Okay, awesome.
Yep.
So it was in stark contrast to November 4th of last year. And we were showing that we want some change. I mean, for the love of God, all right. Andrew Kumo, whatever the hell you pronounce his last name, because I always mess it up. Cuomo? I'm gonna get it for
Cuomo.
this one. Thank you.
It's Cuomo.
Cuomo. That guy, the former governor, all right, he lost. Like they were okay with putting in a guy who had sexual assault allegations against him as
Yeah.
president, right?
Yeah.
They voted him in as president. And then this guy who used to be the former governor of New York, all right, couldn't even win to become mayor because people saw that Mamdani's policies, what he wants to do, and his vision are much better and more progressive. And they came in and they literally said, we want him. And he got the most votes than any other mayor elect since 1969. That says
Correct.
something that we put two women in place as darn on governors of states, Virginia and New Jersey. We got House
Mm-hmm.
seats in Mississippi. We got mayors in cities like Detroit. Like we got a black woman mayor in Detroit now. That's absolutely amazing. We did some really good things. Prop 50 passed. Like we did some really good things on Tuesday, and they took that and they said, you know what? They're fine now. They're fine. We can capitulate. They're good. And it's like, no, you continue with the Democrats continuously spit in our faces. And I'm sick and tired of it. It's like rooting for the friggin' Raiders or something. I don't know. I don't really know sports ball, but I just know that the
It's okay.
Raiders don't do that well sometimes.
If there's any Raiders fans in here now, they're gonna be like, "Yeah, shit, she's right. Damn it." No, yeah, we went through that conversation yesterday, and I know and I feel that, but we have to remind ourselves again who the real enemy is, right? It's Republican politics who've not offered a healthcare solution, who don't care about the working class, who don't care about the poor, who don't care about social safety nets, who don't care about education. They are the real enemy. They are the real. We cannot lose that energy, and we cannot lose that focus. We can't.
Oh yeah, I'm really good at delegating energy here. Oh yeah, delegating. Because they're not off the hook. I mean,
Nope.
the Dems let us down for sure. However, the Republicans still haven't come with anything to say, okay, this is what we want to replace those subsidies with. Like the stupid stipend that he was talking about giving people monthly
That's
for
ridiculous.
healthcare. That is, thank you. Like, there has to be a word that's worse than ridiculous, though. Like, we gotta. I'm gonna get at the source.
Dumbassery or whatever the
Yeah,
fuck it is. Yeah,
something.
I don't know.
But like, bruh. So we have that, and we want to like. They don't have the money for it. That's the thing. They do not have the money for all of these things. You just throw stuff at the wall to see what's gonna stick, and people fall for it. Anywho,
Well, yeah, Erica, actually think about it. What he said in his statement was, I'm going to give people a few $1,000s or whatever it is, they can use it to buy their own healthcare from the same healthcare companies that he's criticizing, that his policies support and defend. So it's like, okay, whatever, dude. That makes total sense. Yeah.
It doesn't. Nothing he says makes sense. And also, Steve, make sure you get yourself a 50-year mortgage and a 10-year auto loan, okay?
Totally. Yeah. So I can spend twice as much in my house than I will now. But I appreciate your concern. Are you going live today at all?
I am going live likely around, if I remember the time correctly, around 2:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time.
5:30 Eastern Time. If you don't follow Erica, please do. You'll get smarter. I appreciate you, my friend. And I'll fanboy as much as I want to. So get over it.
I'll allow it.
I love
I'll
you, friend.
allow it. All right. Love you more.
I'll talk to you later. All right. Bye. See you later. Yeah. Again, no notes. Yes, we can. Yes, we certainly can have both. We can certainly have energy and frustration with what happened, as long as we keep in mind the true target. Yeah, I was going to talk about the 50-year mortgage thing. So there's an economic breakdown that happened on the 50-year mortgage. So thank you for bringing it up, Erica. It's a good segue. So I don't know if you guys heard this, but this was on True Social. I grabbed the picture for you. So he had this picture to say, hey, FDR, 30-year mortgage, Trump, 50-year mortgage, yeah, woo. And, people who aren't going to pay attention, and that would be mostly all Trump voters, they're going to see that as like, wow, what a great thing. And initially out of the gate, because if any of you who have ever purchased a home before know that you want to extend your term, whether it's your home or your car, you want to extend your term out so that it lowers your monthly rate. But what you don't understand, most of them, is that you're going to just pay more. So this 50-year mortgage thing is crazy. It's absolutely bonkers. And he uses, of course, it's more profits for corporations. Exactly. So they did a breakdown. AP did this. See if I can find the math. You guys don't want me doing math, but I'm doing it anyway. So the administration is considering, actually, I'm sorry, this is from Axios, the option that spans 50 years instead of the standard 30. The idea has been by the Federal Housing Finance Agency, or FHFA, Director Bill Pulte, who tweeted it as a complete game changer. Okay. The purpose: to lower monthly payments by stretching the loan over a longer time and thereby expand affordability, access to homeownership, particularly for younger or first-time buyers. The reason that they're bringing this out is because there's new reporting that the average age for first-time home buyers now is 40. Okay? Is 40. That's the average age for first-time home buyers. The first home I bought, let me think about this. How old is my oldest? 24. I was 30. Is that right? Yes, I was 30. That's the first. So I've owned 3. First one was in Vermont. Second one was in Maine, and the one I live in now, back in Vermont. Every single time, I always try to go as low as I can on the term, the length, so that you can pay it off quicker. But Things happen. Anyway, the reason that this is becoming popular is because, or proposed based on what they perceive as popular, is because the average age for people to purchase has now crossed 40 years old. 40. I mean, that's longer. That's over half of life expectancy. So a 50-year mortgage for a first-time home buyer at 40 years old, that person's not going to likely live. Median price home around $415,000 with 20% down, 6.2% interest. 30-year would be $2,813 principal plus interest. 50-year would be $2,577 for the same assumptions. $236 per month less, but the payoff in equity and the interest payment is twice. Like, why? Why does anybody think it's a good idea? The answer is it's not. You know what would be a good idea, though? Investment. Building affordable housing. Oh, by the way, like Zohran Mamdani wants to do in New York City. Capping rents, capping mortgage payments, offering low interest loans for first-time home buyers, like Kamala Harris wanted to do, for example. Rebates for first-time home buyers to bring the age down so people can get into the market sooner. Because once you're in the market, housing values still go up, although there's a serious crisis now. I'm banking on the equity I have in my house, so that's about all I got left. Why would people? This is predatory bullshit. I know, right, Lizette? So fucking radical. This is predatory bullshit. You're gonna convince people with a con job. Listen, I'm gonna be able to lower your monthly payment by $200, and that's attractive. $2,400 a year, sure, it's really attractive. It's criminal. That's what it is. It's criminal. Okay, let's go. Is this one I want to play now? Yeah, here's a little bit more to the story. This is a better breakdown.
This morning, new backlash as the Trump administration moves forward with a plan to introduce 50-year mortgages.
It looks to be like the president's looking for a quick fix to a market that is fundamentally broken right now.
Over the weekend, Trump sharing this image comparing the proposal to the 30-year mortgage policies championed by FDR nearly a century ago. The move could potentially kickstart the now stagnant real estate market. Homes are currently seeing the lowest turnover rate in 30 years, and the median age of first-time home buyers just hit an all-time high of 40 years old.
It's really difficult to see right now for younger borrowers how they are going to be able to afford a home.
A longer fixed-rate mortgage would lower monthly payments, but would also create a higher total cost because of all that interest over 5 decades. Take a $400,000 loan at
5 decades. 50 years. I'm only 58. I'm trying to put that in perspective. I'm going to go out and buy a home now. I'm going to get my 50-year loan, and then at 108 years old, when I'm a bag of dust and bones, I'll walk in and drop my $29. So all I have left to pay on my loan here, take it.
6% interest. Under a 30-year mortgage, the monthly payment would be just shy of $2,400. Under a 50-year loan, it drops to just over $2,100, a savings of nearly $300 a month. But over time, that savings is erased by a much larger interest bill, because while the total interest on a 30-year loan would be about $463,000, the interest on a 50-year loan would total more than $860,000. Many, including longtime allies of President Trump, are not on board with the idea. Yeah. Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene saying, quote, it will ultimately reward the banks, mortgage lenders, and home builders, while people pay far more in interest over time and die before they ever pay off their home, in debt forever, in debt for life.
Correct.
And the White House has not yet explained how it would get around the Dodd-Frank Act, which effectively bans mortgages longer than 30 years.
It's just dumb. It's just stupid. And you're going to promote this like it's a big deal, and people are going to talk about it. You guys see what Trump did? Yep, he lowered my mortgage payment by $200. Did you get one of those new 50-year loans? I sure did. Fucking great. My monthly payments dropped by $200. Hail King Trump. You understand that over 50 years, you're going to pay twice as much in interest. I ain't interested in that. No. I'm telling you, you're going to pay twice as much in interest. Do you know what interest is? No, I ain't interested in that. Never mind. You get the point. People will believe it. People will shop. They'll think about it. How do I get myself one of them 50-year mortgages? 50 years. Remember when you were like 17 or 18? And you're like, man, 50? That's fucking old. That's old as shit. And now we're talking about 50-year mortgages? But again, proof once again who the enemy is. Who the enemy is. They don't give a shit. Instead of investing in lower income housing, I'll give you a real example. Okay, this happened in Burlington. If you've ever been to, the land that doesn't exist, and you've been to Burlington. Burlington's got my state in general has a massive housing shortage right now. We're struggling. It's hard to recruit because there's just no housing. I get contacted by realtors all the time. They're like, "You want to sell your house?" I'm like, "I'd love to sell my house, but where the fuck am I going to go?" So in Burlington, they got a developer to invest in the downtown. If you know Burlington, you know Church Street, you know the hub of the city. It's great. It's cool. It's a great place to go to college. It's a great community. They agreed to build 2 apartment buildings. One needed to be affordable under a certain number. I forget what the number was, right? A relatively decent number, below the average for rents in the city of Burlington. Well, conveniently, the developer finished the first project first. They had like a $10,000 per rent month on the rent per month on the penthouse, and then a whole bunch of other buildings, and then just coincidentally didn't have enough money to finish the other side. Shocker. If you want to address it, then go after that kind of shit. Don't allow private investment and equity firms to buy up single family homes. Put regulations on that shit again. Who's to blame? Because they deregulated the housing industry. Same thing that happened under Bush, which led to what? Which led to fucking, the Big Short. So here we are, rooting for the bankers. MAGA, do you want to explain how a 50-year mortgage helps you? Are you psyched about that $200 a month that you're going to save while you're spending twice as much in your payback because of the interest rate hikes over 50 fucking years? 50 years? Okay, that's fine. And then since MTG was brought up in that article, this is what Trump was asked about MTG.
Green, who is a big ally of yours, said that she would rather see you focused on nonstop domestic policy meetings here at the White House instead of nonstop foreign policy meetings. What's your response to her saying that, and also saying that grocery prices are up and not down, as you've said?
Yeah, so I don't know what happened to Marjorie. She's a nice woman, but I don't know what happened. She's lost her way, I think. But I have to view the presidency as a worldwide situation, not locally. I mean, we could have a world that's on fire where wars come to our shores.
I'm sorry, dude. I need to hear that again. Maybe I missed that the first time. You're the president of the United States, right? I know you think you're the president of the world, but you're not.
Taylor Greene, who is a big ally of yours, said that she would rather see you focused on nonstop domestic policy meetings here at the White House instead of nonstop foreign policy meetings. What's your response to her saying that, and also saying that grocery prices are up and not down, as you've said?
Yeah, so I don't know what happened to Marjorie. She's a nice woman, but I don't know what happened. She's lost her way, I think. But I have to view the presidency as a worldwide situation, not locally. I mean, we could have...
Not locally? America first, I thought, right? So, Mac, can you remind me? It was America first, right? Isn't that what it was? It was America first, I thought, right? Okay.
A world that's on fire where wars come to our shores very easily if you had a bad president. But with all of that, I passed a great, big, beautiful bill, which is the biggest tax cuts in the history of our country. So when somebody like Marjorie Taylor Greene, who's now catering to the other side, I don't know what, I guess she's, got some kind of an act going, but I'm surprised at her. But when somebody like Marjorie goes over and starts making statements like that, it shows she doesn't know. But so when somebody makes a statement about he's devoting time to the world, well, the world is the United States, because if the world's in trouble or if the world is ripping us off, the world was ripping us off before I came here. Europe was getting massive tariffs. They were sending us 9-10 million cars a year. We were sending them none. They were not taking our...
Have you guys ever driven around the streets of England, the UK, France? Do you know why there aren't American cars and trucks over there? Because they wouldn't fucking fit. Okay?
Our agriculture, we were taking massive amounts of their... It was so unfair. Now we have a deal where $950 billion is coming into the United States because of me and because of tariffs.
I mean, here's a little bit more. This is the Laura Ingraham interview. There's more from this.
Obamacare, you raised several times during this shutdown debate that it's clear that this was never going to work without these massive subsidies. Now they wanted to continue the COVID subsidies. So given the fact that Obamacare really can't survive as they thought without these subsidies, what next?
Well, I watched Obama from when this thing came about. As you know, I opposed it very strongly. Unfortunately, we had a couple of negative votes, which should never have happened. But I said it's going to be a disaster, and I was exactly right. The premiums have gone up like rocket ships, and I'm not just talking about recently. I'm talking about for years they've been going up. And he said premiums will go down, everything will be wonderful. It's
Never said that.
horrible health insurance at a very high price.
I never said that.
And what I want, and probably what you're alluding to, is the fact that I want, instead of going to the insurance companies, I want the money to go into an account for people where the people buy their own health insurance.
Mr. President, where do those people buy their health insurance from? Okay, so here's the... Well, I'll finish the interview, then I'll chime in.
So good.
So good, so good.
The insurance will be better.
Great.
It'll cost less.
Okay.
Everybody's going to be happy.
Cool.
They're going to feel like entrepreneurs. They're
Great.
actually able to go out and negotiate their own health insurance.
Got it.
And they can use it only for that reason. That's the beauty, only for that purpose. And if we did that, that would be so exciting. Call it Trump care. Call it whatever you want to call it. But anything but Obamacare. Obamacare is a disaster, just like he was as a president.
Oh, right.
How do...
Okay. So let's game this out, shall we? So if you get $2,000 a year, first of all, whatever the fucking number is, that's significantly less than what we pay now. So if you say, for example, because we know with a lot of the alphas on the right, I don't need health insurance. I'm fucking healthy. I chug my ivermectin shake for breakfast. I eat my liver pills while I'm polishing my truck nuts, and I'm fucking healthy. So say you have that scenario, right? Say you have that scenario where you're going to give people a couple of $1,000s. Many people are going to choose to say, you know what? I am not going to bother paying for healthcare. I don't have to now. I'm going to pocket it. What do you think happens to all of our health insurance rates? They go up because you reduce the amount of people that are in the system. There's still going to be profit paid to all these health insurance companies. Mr. President, you just made the argument for universal health care. You just made the cup the truck nuts, exactly. To massage them. You just made the argument for universal health care. Because if you don't want people paying all this money to these insurance companies, guess what? Neither do I. A one in the chat if you'd love to stop spending the money that you spend now on the predatory insurance companies. If you hate the insurance companies, put a one in the chat. See, Mr. President, if you watch my live every day, you would realize that we're sick of it too. So instead of just spewing fucking nonsense, why don't you introduce a health insurance plan? Because you haven't. You've had 10 years. This is your policy? I'm just gonna give them money. To do what? It would be a flexible spending card loaded to spend only on health? Oh, okay, maybe. Sure. Health for what? Right, and if you decide you're not going to use it for health, how much do you get? It's just fucking maddening. Again, who are the enemies? Listen, I would sign up for Trump Care in a second. I don't give a fuck what the name would be if it would help myself and my family and other people, the other 45 million people that are on the ACA or whatever the number is these days. Seriously, I don't give a shit. I just want a healthcare solution. And that is, at the end of the day, I think that is the byproduct from the government shutdown, is it exposed the Republicans to not having a healthcare solution. It is on them now. They have got to solve this. It's on them. Those subsidies are going up. All of our healthcare goes up on January 1st. It's across the board. If they want to change, I don't give a fuck. Call whatever the fuck you want. Call whatever you want. I don't care. Just give us fucking health care. If it's better than what I have currently, then sign me up. I'm not a huge fan of the ACA, but I can tell you right now, it's better than not having health care. And can we dispel the whole myth about premiums? Listen, there were tens of millions of Americans that didn't have health care. Okay? At the time the ACA rolled out, I was gainfully employed in corporate America. I had a pretty good healthcare policy. So I've been self-employed for four plus years now, right? I've got one business that I run daily when I'm done doing the show. I've got another one that I'm helping get going, and I've got a small stake in a tiny one that I just do their business planning for. I need the ACA. It takes care of myself and my family. I need it. I have to have it. It's not perfect, but it's a hell of a lot better than not having health insurance. It's a hell of a lot better. And again, it was affordable. Sure, the subsidies help, but it was affordable. I could fit it in with my budget. When I shop to the marketplace, I'm like, okay, this is what I need. This is what I can afford. And once again, it's just this demonization. I know premiums have been going up ever since. The lie that people on the right like to use, that premiums have skyrocketed because of the ACA, that's simply just not true. Premiums are going up 30% across the board in healthcare this year. They go up every year. It's not just because of the ACA. This is a predatory fucking system that preys on people because you gotta have healthcare. There are people in our country that are making decisions right now, right now, myself included. Like it's scary. It's causing me tremendous stress every day. I've got a 2-time cancer survivor in my family. I got to be able to take her to that hospital when she needs her checkups. She's got to be covered. I have no choice. I have to figure it out. I will, but I have to figure it out. It's on the Republicans. Solve the fucking problem. Solve it. Fix the problem. Fix the problem. I can tell you right now, if you fix the problem and you offer a solution to healthcare, you will win elections in a landslide. Because that's what the American people are asking for and demanding. And I think that was the whole point of the 40-day government shutdown, is to expose it. Say, here's the situation. They have to fix it. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But they got to fix it. Did I play that one? Yes, I played that. Played that. All right. The affordability con job. Yeah, that was interesting. So I'm going to play some sound now from Tim Dillon. Tim Dillon is a total MAGA podcaster, and I've seen an evolution of Tim Dillon a little bit. He was somebody I kind of bumped into by accident a while ago. He's not your typical MAGA podcaster. Yes, he's a big Trump fan, but he calls balls and strikes a lot. So I want you to listen to him. Then you're going to hear Tim Miller from the Bulwark commentary afterwards. This was really, I think this is what MAGA is dealing with now in their little circles.
One who seems to get it, as crazy as he might be, is Steve Bannon, who goes, no, we're in deep trouble. Bannon is talking about that, and he's telling the people on his side of the aisle they're in real trouble because the pendulum is now swinging back to economic concerns. Republican Party's talking about shit nobody cares about. And they're having, it's infighting, it's squabbling, it's all this stuff, and the Democrats are ascendant because, by the way, why not? No one's life is better since Trump took office, by the way. So at the end of the day, it's like, why not?
You know what else would be a better message than what Angus King is saying out there? What Tim Dillon, the MAGA podcaster, is saying. Like literally going on TV and being like, nobody's life is better. Trump is having his truffle party down at Mar-a-Lago and bombing boats in the Caribbean, and maybe we should focus on helping people. Yeah. That's what the Democrats are up to. That's a pretty good message.
It's kind of the point, right? No one's life's better. This is a MAGA podcaster. It's got Trump paraphernalia behind him during his show. No one's life's better, and it's true. The president can sit there and say all he wants, that it's a con job for the Democrats. It's a con job. Your prices are actually down when they're up. So, MAGA, this is a little homework assignment, okay? When you're going to the feed store, right? When you're looking for truck nut polish, find out what the prices are, okay? Ask the person behind the counter, how much did this cost last year? And then how much does it cost now? And when they tell you the prices are up, does that mean that they're down? Does that mean that they're down? Right? Because no, that means that they're up. By the way, maybe we need a truck nut polish t-shirt. There is a new shirt in the merch store, by the way. Turn up the volume. If you're interested, you can find the merch store at FactsHQ or at Factsstillmatter.site. Appreciate y'all. Again, we're crowdfunded here. You want to support the channel, best way to do it, Cash App, PayPal, Venmo. Thank you very much. Never expected, always appreciated. When you're starting to get like podcasters that have always been the safe space saying, listen, people's lives are not better. And they're not. They're not. They're better. They're better for the corporate oligarchs, for sure, because they've been able to enrich themselves. Don't forget, who polishes truck nuts? Don't ask. That's a whole nother kink. Don't judge. That's a whole nother kink. Listen, you can polish your truck nuts in the privacy of your own home if you want, or turn it into an OF page and make it public. I don't care. I'm sure everybody will enjoy it. When you're losing your safe spaces, like in these right-wing podcasters, and they're saying no one's lives better, nobody's lives are better. And it's true. And the people that are getting harmed are some of the most loyal Trump voters. If you go to the right-wing spaces around TikTok that I do, remember I go there so you don't have to, you're welcome. They're talking about how their life is so much better now. And I'm thinking to myself, what fucking world do you live in? Your life is not better. It's just not. Your life is just not better. The price for everything is up. Inflation's up 3%. Farmers are getting screwed. Farmers voted for this. Sorry. Fuck around and find out. Okay. This is also a little interesting thing that I'm gonna play for you guys, because oftentimes they tell on themselves. So I'm going to play this little series for you. This is about the air traffic controllers. We talked about this a little bit earlier. This is, again, that same interview with Laura Ingraham.
Social post earlier today.
I did.
Where you blasted the air traffic controllers who had not shown up for work and offered potentially a bonus of $10,000 for those who have worked despite the shutdown. Are you worried that given the fact that we have a deficit of air traffic controllers still, I know we're trying to change that might be a difficult
No, we don't
position?
have much of a deficit, and we have a lot of people want the job. But I was not happy when I saw all these people, we have to, look, life is not so easy for anybody. Our country's never done better. We should not.
Wait, life is not so easy for everybody, but our country's never done better? Okay.
Have had people leaving their jobs. And what I basically did is say the ones that stayed, of which there were a lot of them, I'm sending them a $10,000 bonus.
Where's that money coming from?
I don't know. I'll get it from someplace.
$10,000. I don't know. I'll get it from someplace. Okay. Well, Kevin Hassett was recently on Face the Nation talking about, I don't know, criminality. So think about what the president just said, and then this was the answer to the question about if you're abiding by the rules.
The longest shutdown in American history. The Treasury Secretary told us 2 weeks ago, November 15th was the hard stop for any paychecks going to U.S. troops. Does that remain the point of exhaustion?
Right. I think that's about the right number. And the problem is that under the law, we're not allowed to spend money that hasn't been appropriated. And there is a law, Anti-Deficiency Act, that says that if a government official spends money that isn't appropriated by Congress, which will only happen if the Democrats vote to open up the government, then you could even have criminal penalties.
Well, wouldn't you know? Interesting, because the president said, just pull this back again. Let's play this from the beginning. The president said
where you blasted the air traffic controllers who had not shown up for work and offered potentially a bonus of $10,000 for those who have worked despite the shutdown. Are you worried that given the fact that we have a deficit of air traffic controllers still, I know we're trying to change that might be a difficult
No, we don't
position?
have much of a deficit, and we have a lot of people want the job. But I was not happy when I saw all these people, we have to, look, life is not so easy for anybody. Our country's never done better. We should not have had people leaving their jobs. And what I basically did is say the ones that stayed, of which there were a lot of them, I'm sending them a $10,000 bonus.
Where's that money coming from?
I don't know. I'll get it from someplace. I always get the money from someplace regardless. It doesn't.
So you're admitting to crimes there, big guy, because your guy who's kind of in charge of this said, you can't just give money to people if it hasn't been appropriated through Congress. So you just admitted to crimes.
Smart people don't like me.
Doesn't matter. I do a lot of bonuses for people because it's really something that it's like the American way when you think of.
Yep, exactly.
So here's somebody that goes and shows up every single day. Some of them showed up early because they knew there was going to be a problem. Those people should be rewarded. Others, we can't make it. We can't. A lot of the people that showed up also had a second job. They took a second job temporarily, but they all know the money's coming, and the money was coming. So I want to reward the people that showed up without a lot of nonsense, without a lot of talk. They did their job, and in many cases, they worked longer hours to get us through this period.
When can we?
Okay.
Housing costs are still out of reach, and another thing that your administration is trying to tackle. Many Americans, the average age of first-time home buyers are now up to age 40, which is sad. The country you and I grew up in.
I inherited that. Look, you have to understand.
Right, but let me get to the question, though, because your housing director has proposed something that has enraged your MAGA friends, which is this 50-year mortgage idea. So a significant MAGA backlash, calling it a giveaway to the banks and simply prolonging the time it would take for Americans.
That's because that's what it is.
To own a home outright. Is that really a good idea?
It's not even a big deal. I mean, you go from 40 to 50 years, and what it means is you pay something less from 30. That some people had a 40, and then
there is no such thing as 40 because Dodd-Frank puts that policy. You can't offer a mortgage that's longer than 30 years. This dumbass does not know how anything fucking works. He'll just stand there. What's the big deal? 40 to 50? What's the big deal? 30, some people have 40. No, no one has 40. Doesn't exist. Doesn't exist.
Now they have a 50. All it means is you pay less per month. You pay it over a longer period of time. It's not like a big factor. It might help a little bit. But the problem was that Biden did this. He increased the interest rates, and I have a lousy...
He didn't increase... Biden! What about Biden? He didn't increase the interest rates. It's not his job. The Fed did that. Okay?
Fed person who's going to be gone.
And then the last little bit here.
The economy was listed as a top concern. I know you know this, for voters in New Jersey, New York, Virginia. And I know you've been all over the affordability issue today and for the last several months. Eggs, gas, a dinner cost for Thanksgiving way down. But other things, as you noted, have gone up. Beef, coffee, auto repairs. Is this a voter perception issue of the economy? Or is there more that needs to be done by Republicans on Capitol Hill or done in terms of policy?
More than anything else, it's a con job by the Democrats. They're saying, they just have to say, they put out something, say today costs are up. They feed it to the anchors of ABC, CBS, and NBC, and a lot of other, and CNN, and et cetera. And it's like a standard. I'll never forget, they had used a word like manufactured. Do you remember the word manufactured? It's a manufactured economy. Nobody uses that word. Every anchor broke through.
What, dude? What?
Manufactured. They do exactly what they say. It's such a rigged system. So, are you ready? Costs are way down. Gasoline is going to be hitting.
Here's a little tell. Whenever he says, "Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready for me?"
$2 pretty soon, or around $2. No. Gasoline is at $2.70 now.
No.
And it was at $4.50 under Biden, under Sleepy Joe. When gasoline comes down, when energy comes down, and everybody agrees energy's down, we're drilled.
Everybody agrees. When he says everybody agrees, that means nobody agrees.
Baby drill. We're going like wild. We produce more gasoline, oil and gas in the last month than we ever have before, to a point. So I was up by 20 points on Biden or some crazy number. And they said, all right, let's get him out. We'll put a new one. This never happened.
I played that for you. One of the most frustrating parts of this whole thing for me is people have become, his voters are so conditioned that no matter what he says, they're going to believe it. Even if they stand right in the face of what we're all seeing. Inflation is up. Gas prices are down a penny. Diesel's up 20 cents a gallon. We're losing, thank you very much, thank you, Yeehaw. We're losing jobs. We're losing jobs. He's got some of the lowest approval ratings that we have ever seen. But because he's conditioned the cult for a decade, every single talking point, narrative, data point, whatever it is that comes out against him is fake news. All of it. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter the data that we see. It doesn't matter that his own government data tells you this. He tells you that the Supreme Court didn't have the right numbers when his own Solicitor General was pitching the legitimacy of his tariff policy. My guy, it's your guy who's there representing you. I do not know how we come back from this, you guys. I don't know. It's one lie after another. It is one propaganda bullshit story after another. Every fucking day, it's the same old thing. I've got one more that I've got to play. This one is fucking wild. Rare earths, okay? This one is wild.
China was going to hit us with rare earth. Now everybody says, so what does that mean? Magnets. If China refused to give magnets because they have a monopoly on magnets because they were allowed to happen over a 32-year period, There wouldn't be a car made in the entire world. There wouldn't be a radio. There wouldn't be a television. There wouldn't be internet. There wouldn't be anything because magnets are such a part. Now, nobody knows what magnets are, and not.
Nobody knows what magnets are. Hold on. I wonder if this guy knows what magnets are.
Samsung.
He might know. We should ask him.
Samsung.
Do you know what magnets are?
Samsung.
I'm asking again. Yeah, that's who I'm asking. Does he know what magnets are?
Samsung.
I know the guy, but I want to know if he knows what magnets are.
Samsung.
I understand it's him, but I'd like to know if he knows what magnets are.
Samsung.
Okay, I give up. Think tank.
China was going to hit us with rare earth. Now, everybody says, so what does that mean? Magnets. If China refused to give magnets because they have a monopoly on magnets because they were allowed to happen over a 32-year period, there wouldn't be a car made in the entire world. There wouldn't be a radio. There wouldn't be a television. There wouldn't be internet. There wouldn't be anything because magnets are such a part. Now, nobody knows what magnets are, and not overly.
Nobody knows what magnets are, friends.
Sophisticated, but to build a magnet system would take 2 years. So if I weren't able to say to China, look, if you're going to do that to us, we're going to charge you 158% tariff. It was 100% on top of 58%. And China called up immediately and said, we will make peace. And we made peace. We made a great deal.
Mr. President, this is China calling. Yeah. Want to talk about the magnets. Cool. Sweet. The fuck, dude? What the fuck? Okay, we're so fucking screwed. Again, friends, I'm going to use what I just played as a reminder that it doesn't matter what members of the Republican Party does or says, or what this guy says or does, his voters will stand in line and vote for it. Please remember that. Use the anger, rightly so. Use the frustration, rightly so, from the past 48 hours. Use it, but remember, exactly, you're going to throw magnets at us. Remember what's at stake. Because if we lose momentum, if we lose energy, if we lose our commitment to what's on the line, then Magnet Boy, Think Tank, Mr. Toyota, Samsung, Kovefi, Person, Woman, Man, Camera, TV will be back in charge. Okay? Please keep that in mind. Hi, Kipper. Good boy. Please? Okay, thank you. All right. There's another story that I want to play for you guys. I'm gonna go back in time a little bit. You're gonna hear Tulsi Gabbard as a distraction. This goes back a while. This goes back a few months when they came out with these revelations that Kipper's at my feet. Here, come here. I'm gonna say hello. Come here. There we go. There's the boy. Remember a few weeks, probably a few months back, Tulsi Gabbard comes out with these revelations that it's Barack Obama and everybody else, the criminal activity connected to Mr. Obama because they needed a distraction, right? So I'll remind you of this, and I'm going to tell you a story about as it relates to this in just a moment. Hang on one second. Hi, buddy.
Very much. Good afternoon. At President Trump's direction and with the support and coordination with the House Intelligence Committee Chairman Rick Crawford, today we've released a declassified oversight majority staff report that was produced in September of 2020. The stunning revelations that we are releasing today should be of concern to every American. This is not about Democrats or Republicans. This has to do with the integrity of our democratic republic and American voters having faith that the votes cast will count. There is irrefutable evidence that detail how President Obama and his national security team directed the creation of an intelligence community assessment that they knew was false. They knew it would promote this contrived narrative that Russia interfered in the 2016 election to help President Trump win, selling it to the American people as though it were true.
It wasn't. The report that we released today shows in great detail how they carried this out. They manufactured findings from shoddy sources. They suppressed evidence and credible intelligence that disproved their false claims. They disobeyed traditional tradecraft intelligence community standards and withheld the truth from the American people. In doing so, they conspired to subvert the will of the American people who elected Donald Trump in that election in November of 2016. They worked with their partners in the media to promote this lie, ultimately to undermine the legitimacy of President Trump and launching what would be a years-long coup against him and his administration. We're here today because the American people deserve the truth, they deserve accountability, and they deserve justice.
The comments on that video are crazy. Like, what's the actual penalty for treason? Of course, we know that that is all fucking bullshit. All of it. All of it is bullshit. So there's new reporting. U.S. attorney investigating alleged grand conspiracy calls unit-wide meeting after two prosecutors resign. Career prosecutors on pins and needles after flurry of subpoenas approved. This is reporting from NBC dated yesterday. U.S. attorney for the Southern District of Florida called a division-wide meeting on Monday following the resignations of two prosecutors who were asked to take part in a vast conspiracy investigation into former intelligence and law enforcement officials, according to a source familiar with internal concerns among career prosecutors. Trump-appointed U.S. Attorney Jason Redding Quinones called the impromptu meeting of the largest section in the criminal division, major crimes, a unit that includes 2 to 3 dozen career prosecutors. The source said it is unusual for an office's top prosecutors to convene such a gathering. Everyone is on pins and needles, the source said, referring to prosecutors who fear being asked by the U.S. Attorney Redding Quinones or his leadership team to work on a case that President Trump has said should lead to the arrests of an expansive list of individuals, including Barack Obama. The Justice Department approved at least 30 subpoenas on Friday, including for John Brennan and former FBI officials Peter Strzok and Lisa Page. The official who signed at least some of the subpoenas is Executive Assistant United States Attorney Manolo Rebozo, a source familiar with a number of the subpoenas issued, has told NBC News. The dude can't let it go. They make these claims over the summer, all this criminality. Same thing with James Comey. That case is just blowing up. Same thing with Letitia James. That case is just blowing up. Here they are now. People, hand-picked people in the Trump Justice Department, in one of the largest U.S. attorney's offices in the country, have said, I'm out. This is fucking bullshit. I am out. The gentleman who got his job replaced by Lindsay Halligan in Virginia, Lindsay Halligan, who's so unbelievably unqualified for her job, not serious. That person, Eric Siebert, I think is his name, a Trump-appointed guy who was on the short list, by the way, to be the Attorney General, said there is no evidence that this guy committed crimes. None. I know. Obama greeted veterans. You're right. Exactly. I think it was on a plane. Actually, I think he welcomed veterans to D.C. There is nothing here, MAGA. You guys are like, I don't even know what to say. You're so desperate to go after the black man in the tan suit who had a pretty good jump shot that this is what you do? This is what you're doing now? And people appointed to the leadership positions in these agencies, in these offices, are quitting over it. But those are going to be labeled as rhinos, right? They're going to be labeled as people who are out to get the president, right? It's fucking wild. It is so wild that they're willing to go this far. Over what? Over what? Okay, just checking in. At last check, what we know about the swearing in of Rep. Grijalva. As soon as the House is in session, she'll be sworn in. She will sign the Epstein petition, the discharge petition. She'll be the 218th signature. The way that process works is so a discharge petition means any member of the House, majority party, minority party, doesn't matter. Any member of the House can introduce what's referred to as a discharge petition. This petition in this case is the Epstein Transparency Act, where they want everything. Not just the little dribbles and drabbles that have been handed out by James Comer and the Oversight Committee, not all the other bullshit that Kash Patel said that he is going to release that he never did, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The discharge petition gets it all with the survivors' names redacted so that they're protected as best they possibly can. Okay? So that's what's happening. She becomes a 218 signature, which then forces the vote. So again, any member can introduce it. You need 218, which is one more than half. 435 members of the House, 218 would be one more than half. That forces the Speaker's hand because the Speaker of the House ultimately controls the agenda. So when they talk about counting the votes, the one is backing out. Are you serious? Nancy Mace is backing out in exchange for Trump's endorsement. Do we have reporting on that? Oh, God. Sure. Okay. So we have reporting on that? Again, that'll tell you everything you need to know. Anyway, so let's talk about what we know for now, right? So she signed it. Was she going to take her name off of it? She just may not decide to vote for it. That's different. It forces the Speaker's hand, which means once it's signed and submitted, the Speaker has 7 days to bring it to a floor vote. And he can't not do it unless he wants to go through the Rules Committee and write a whole bunch of rules, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. There is reporting inside Washington politics that are as many as 75 to 100 Republicans that once they get this to the floor, they're going to vote for it. So the question I have, if Nancy Mace does back out, who is going to be the person that's going to come in and say, all right, I'm going to sign this too? That's what's likely to happen at some point. So when that discharge petition does get voted on, it seems like there's going to be a lot of activity on this notion. We've been waiting for this for a long time. I don't know. I've not seen anything about that. Does anybody? Mods? You guys see anything about that? I've not. So that's where we sit. There's reporting about her seeking a commutation. So I'm going to play this sound for you, and we can talk about it.
From the White House, meaning there's going to be a big will he or won't he moment. Convicted accomplice of Jeffrey Epstein, apparently asking for leniency from the White House, meaning there's going to be a big will he or won't he moment brewing for President Trump, who's been on a kind of pardon binge lately. Here's the deal. House Democrats say documents from a whistleblower show this woman, Ghislaine Maxwell, is in the process of seeking a commutation from the White House. Remember, she's serving 20 years for sex trafficking minors alongside Epstein and was moved to that lower security prison camp not long after meeting with a top DOJ official to talk about the Epstein case. She says she's much happier there, according to recent emails obtained by NBC News. The White House tonight says the president hasn't thought about pardoning Maxwell, but he certainly has not ruled it out yet, despite growing anger and frustration from Epstein survivors, including the family members of Virginia Giuffre, Epstein and Maxwell's most prominent accuser, who died by suicide earlier this year. I spoke with her siblings about the president so far refusing to rule out a Maxwell pardon. And when you heard the president say that again, even after your very public calls for him, all but begging him to rule out a pardon for Maxwell, what goes through your mind?
What goes through his mind, I ask myself, that would give him any doubt to rule out a pardon?
The president has had other pardons on the mind, clearly. Earlier today, giving clemency to Rudy Giuliani, and look at this, dozens of other allies who were accused of trying to overturn the legitimate 2020 election. John Allen is following this one for us. Let's start here with this Maxwell pardon. Behind the scenes, what are you hearing from sources about how seriously the White House may or may not be considering this? And what are we hearing from Maxwell's attorney?
Well, it's really hard behind the scenes with the White House because nobody's able to react to a pardon before it happens because they don't know.
because Donald Trump chooses who to pardon when, and the sort of existing process for it has been, broken down.
Because there's usually a process, right? There's usually a very organized way that these things happen. Not so in the president's first term or second term.
And there's certainly some of that. There is an organized process for some of these to get to the president, but also the president clearly makes his own decision, his own timetable, and the White House really doesn't preview that. And sometimes they are very surprising and seem to be very abrupt. But the White House did talk about the Maxwell possible pardon today. So let's, I think we've got that to take a look at. The White House does not comment on potential clemency requests, Abigail Jackson, the White House spokeswoman, said. As President Trump has stated, pardoning Ghislaine Maxwell is not something he has thought about. Now, you were talking about earlier about this whistleblower complaining about the treatment that she's getting. And her saying in an email that she's happier, and no wonder, because if this whistleblower is right, we have...
So some of the things that she's getting in her new Club Fed: custom meals prepared and delivered by prison staff, warden personally arranged meetings with visitors providing snacks and drinks, special help accessing, reviewing, and editing legal documents, playtime with puppy service dogs in training, and permission to exercise after hours in staff-only area.
Here's basically what she's been getting in prison: customized meals, the warden. This whistleblower is telling the House Democrats, the Judiciary and Oversight Democrats, that she's got this sort of really posh circumstance in prison as it stands. And then just one other sort of thing going on here. Congressman Robert Garcia spoke about this today and the outrage that some folks are feeling about. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but folks can see it up on the screen. Part of it, he said, is for months people have been hearing about what DOJ is providing.
Here's the quote. For months, we've been warning the American people that Trump's Department of Justice is providing her with unprecedented benefits as a prisoner, including moving her to a less restrictive facility. We are calling on Speaker Johnson and Oversight Chairman Comer to publicly oppose a commutation or pardon by President Trump. This is a White House cover-up, and Speaker Johnson is now complicit.
And now he is calling on Speaker Johnson and the Oversight Committee Chairman Jim Comer to publicly oppose a commutation.
And by the way, Maxwell's attorney has said, right, that the prison can't move was for her safety and security, that there had been an issue around that, and that's why.
Right, and I think there's some controversy here because it's one thing to keep her safe, it's another thing to give her time to play with a puppy.
There's also these dozens of pardons that came out that were revealed.
So, the co-conspirator of JE is in the process of seeking a commutation. The whistleblower came forward with information to Democrats on the House Judiciary Committee and also alleges Maxwell is getting preferential treatment in prison. Quote, I am struggling to keep it all together as it is big and there are so many attachments, said Maxwell. She has submitted, apparently, a commutation application. I've always thought that this one thing potentially is the end of the Trump administration. And I still do. I still do. I still do think that this is the end of the Trump administration because it's not just going to be about Rep-elect, soon to be sworn in, Congresswoman Adelia Grijalva. I just really feel like there are enough people out there who have been clamoring for this for a very long time. And once we talked, like we talked earlier, right? The Republican Party can no longer claim to be the party of law and order. They can't. They can no longer be the party of anti-corruption. They can't. And now they can certainly no longer be the party of protecting the innocent. So what we would like to see from MAGA in particular is to just demand release of the files. Demand it. Demand it. And be so completely disgusted by any conversations about commutations. And you know what we're going to see on the right? We know what we're going to see? We're going to see people on the right, if she does have her sentence commuted, they're going to say she was wrongfully accused. So we'll believe that woman, but not the survivors of their crimes. Is that how it's supposed to go? Is that how? Fucking crazy, man. Iron Knight, how are you today? Iron Knight, are you there? Iron Knight, are you there?
No, friendly.
Okay.
Sorry, I don't know how I got
That's all right. My bad. No problem. Thanks a lot for being here.
No
Appreciate
deal.
it.
Yeah.
I talk to everybody. friend or foe. I don't care.
Hello.
Good morning, friend. How are you?
Full of cold, but don't mind me. If I sound a bit weird, that's why.
It's all good.
Oh dear. Chaos as always, I see, in America. It's interesting. We're talking about lobbying earlier, and I can't remember who said it, but there's an old joke in England that we say that our politicians should wear jackets like the Formula One drivers, so that we can see who pays for each and everything that they do on their jacket. And
Sponsored. Sponsored by. Exactly. I love that.
And I think that's something that, if money isn't taken out of politics, or at least in the process of removing money out of politics, that should be the bare minimum, so that everything is accounted for publicly, so that they can be held to account for everything. That's, I think, the interim. And I get what you're saying about, removing lobbying altogether. I disagree, but that's because I rely, as a disabled woman, I rely on disability organisations and charities to lobby the government when they want to bring in harmful policies, which is what we're seeing a lot of at the moment. So I think lobbying has a place in government, but I think money doesn't.
Agreed.
That makes sense. So I think
Well, I just think unless sure. So if we were to game that out, like our previous guest had said earlier, yeah, I would love to support agencies who lobby on behalf of you and other members of the disabled community or green energy programs or education reform. Absolutely. But if that's the case, then we have to accept big pharma, big tobacco, oil and gas, et cetera, et cetera.
But that's where the money comes in. They're lobbying with money, not just asking for things and putting political pressure on. And I think that's the difference.
Yeah,
But
I hear you, but there's still money. There's still money connected.
Yeah,
I got you.
I see. I see both sides of it, but I think that it's an interesting thing to figure out what would we want as an ideal government that represented us, and it's an interesting thought experiment.
Yeah. It is. I appreciate that. Thank you for jumping in today, friend. Appreciate you very much.
Take care.
I love you. Bye-bye.
Whee!
Okay, I think to wrap today, there's a lot of snow out there, still snowing. I wanted to kind of take you guys through just sort of the highlights of what we can expect, or I should say, looking back throughout our history over the last 50 years, let's compare Democrat policies, liberal policies to Republican/conservatives. Okay, this is just high level. I had some questions. I don't spend a lot of time on ChatGPT, but I was curious about this, so I just asked. And what I like about ChatGPT is it sources it, so I confirm the source, of course. I confirm the source, of course, if there's a horse. All right, so Democrats, more progressive taxes and bigger refundable credits, like the earned income tax credit, child tax credit, plus temporary boosts in downturns. Evidence shows that the earned income tax credit and the 2021 child tax credit expansion sharply reduced poverty among working families and kids. Health coverage expansion, the ACA marketplace, Medicaid expansion, enhanced ACA subsidies. These policies lowered the uninsured rate and out-of-pocket premiums for many low to middle-income families when enhanced subsidies were in place. Wage floors and worker power. Higher minimum wage. Again, these are policies that are supported by Democrats and liberals. Higher minimum wage, pro-union. The federal minimum wage has not kept up with inflation since 2009. Democrats typically push increases while many GOP leaders oppose federal hikes. Union membership has fallen to 10%, weakening bargaining power. Republicans, on the other side, broad tax cuts with emphasis on high earners, capital, and corporations. 1980s rate cuts, 2001, 2003, 2017 TCJA, 2025 Big Beautiful Bill. Near-term average tax cuts spread across the distribution, but larger and more durable gains skew to upper-income households once individual provisions phase down. Short-term to sell it, but they're permanent for the top end, and they prioritize corporations. Market-oriented healthcare, less regulations, no subsidies, more choice. GOP repeal replace never worked out. No viable alternative to the ACA. Deregulation. Aim it as growth via lower business costs. Critics argue weaker bargaining power and regulations means slower wage gains and more predatory lending practices. Okay. True. How about how that's played out for the middle and lower class? Pros commonly associated with democratic economic approaches. Measured poverty reduction via the tax transfer system. Earned income tax credit, or EITC. Fully refundable child tax credit. Lowered poverty and material hardship, especially for families with children and some low-income childless workers. More coverage and financial protection in health care, and then potential wage floor boosts by advocating for raising the federal minimum wage. The cons, the trade-off. Higher fiscal costs, expanded credits, subsidies require revenue, which I agree, and then work incentive edges can be complex. Some benefits phase out, creating marginal tax rate cliffs for certain households. A design rather than a partisan inevitability, but often present, the Congressional Budget Office reported. So this is pros when we're talking about Republican policies. After tax income gain, but short term. So even when they describe the pros, there's a con. Cost reduction focuses for firms. Lower corporate tax rate and capital taxes and deregulation aim to spur investment. Trickle down. The trade-off on the con side, distribution tilts up to the income scale, prioritizing the richest among us. Less coverage supports raise uninsured risk. They don't want to offer a healthcare solution, and then weaker wage bargaining power. Fundamental differences. I think that describes it. What do you stand for? What does your party, what does your ideology support? Do you support benefits and advantages for the middle class? Do you support expansion of social safety nets? Do you support funding public education as opposed to charter schools? Do you support the middle class compared to what Republican politics for the last 50 years have supported? They've supported tax breaks for the rich. They've supported deregulation, which then would allow people, the 1%ers, to take advantage of more people. Do you support solutions as sort of as haphazard as they can be for healthcare? Do you support regulations to keep us out of the hands of predatory lenders? And if you do, then you would vote Democrat. If you support pro-capitalism, then you would vote Republican. It's really that simple. Gen X Patriot, how are you today? Whoa, bro. Hello there.
I'm good. Yeah, I'm good. Man. I just want to make this. I want to make this real quick. I want to big up you for your overall message today, and I want to maybe slightly change it a little bit, and that is that I fully understand the anger at the capitulation of the 8 Democrats who are not running for office anymore, or retiring, sure, whatever, right? I get it. Yeah. But my thing is that we on the left have to understand and keep in mind the strength that we have over people on the right, which is we understand nuance, right? Mm-hmm. And so to me, I would say to you that I agree, keep the anger, but let's make the anger do something, right? You don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. These 8 people, whether they were retiring or not, that anger should be focused on replacing them with people who will in fact hold the line and fight for us. That is the appropriate place to place that anger, not just I'm never voting again. That is shooting yourself or pew-pewing yourself in the foot. I know you have short time, and I just really wanted to get that message out there, just kind of like bolstering what you're saying, right? I'm not disagreeing with you at all. I just think that our side needs to understand that anger can be used as a tool for good, right? And I say that as a guy who's always simmering with anger. It's one of my weaknesses.
I hear you.
So,
no, I absolutely hear you. Two things can be true. We can certainly question, where that vote came from. I tend to look at the chessboard politically as to what potentially we could get out of this, right? I won't revisit that, but we have to remember why we're in this position to begin with. We're in this position because Republicans have never offered a healthcare solution. We're in this position because they cut Medicaid and Medicare. We're in this position because they want to deny SNAP funding. That's why we're here, right?
Yeah.
So we got to remain angry, but we can't check out of the system.
One quick thing, and I think that one of the things that a lot of people on the left that I talk to are rightly concerned about, right? They don't want to end up in a position where exactly what you were talking about a little bit earlier, where I'm just going to vote for this because it's got a D behind it, right? I think that you pay attention, right? But you continue to vote for the people who are offering real solutions. And in my bottom line is certainly the people who are offering to protect the Constitution and our civil rights, all of our civil rights, right? So, that's it. That's it.
Thank you, Fred. I appreciate.
Thank you for bringing me up. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you got it, man. Thanks for being here. Have a good day.
Yep.
Yeah, it's similar to what we talked about before, right? We can certainly be angry. We can certainly feel like there was, it wasn't worth it. I just look at it a little bit differently, I guess. That's all. I just want to remember as the dust settles from this a little bit, right? And the government's open, and there's that kind of stuff. I just want people to remember that why we are here, okay? Why we're here to begin with, how we got here. We got here because the Republicans played the long game for 50 years, going after all of our institutions, the education system, healthcare, science, democratic institutions, the courts, the media, your right to speak freely, your right to peacefully assemble. That's who they are. We, on the left, people who believe in liberal-leaning policies, like defending education, like defending women's rights to their bodies, like guaranteeing healthcare as a human right, like wanting the rich and the corporations to pay more, like defending the right to just defending the right to keep people, healthy and happy. Thank you, Jess. Healthy and happy and safe. You don't see that from the right. We saw it today. They don't care about anybody other than themselves. I don't even know what that would feel like. I've never put that sweater of selfishness on in my life, and I never want to. I can't imagine what that would feel like. I can't imagine it. It's just weird that people would just say, I don't give a fuck about you as long as I get mine. We see it from the church all the fucking time. You don't open your doors to people. You don't follow Christ's teaching, not even close. Not even close. It's just like, that's the part to me at the end of the day, that expression, but at the end of the day, that's the part that bothers me the most as an empath. And you guys most of you are in here every single day. You get it. You understand. You're willing. I've seen so many of you give without anything to give. Because that's what we try to do. And that shouldn't change just because of 7 Democrats and 1 independent. That shouldn't change. Your energy should still be there. It should still be wanting to contact food banks. It should still be there about wanting to help your neighbor, volunteers in your classroom, volunteers after school, finding out what teachers need, creating a wish list for teachers, hearts in the chat for teachers. That should not change. If it does, then they've beaten us. Politics aside, this is humanity. This is humanity. What kind of country do you want to live in? What kind of community do you want to live in? I want one that prioritizes the things that should matter. It always comes down to money. Remember, we've had this conversation before. What does our nation prioritize? We prioritize greed. We prioritize corruption. We prioritize money. These people in power are enriching themselves every single day at the expense of the middle class on Veterans Day, at the expense of veterans, denying SNAP benefits. The President of the United States goes to the Supreme Court. And by the way, I just like to clear something up. Ketanji Brown Jackson was literally doing her job. Okay? So people wanted to jump on her. She was doing her job. The decision she made regarding SNAP was literally the process following the law. That's what she did. That's what she's there to do. We want our justices to be objective, and that's what she did. She followed the law. But the fact that our president petitioned the Supreme Court to say, hey, can you do me a solid and figure out a way for me to not pay SNAP benefits? I think the number is 97% of SNAP recipients are either full-time able-bodied workers working full-time, veterans, children, the disabled, or the elderly. That's it. That's it. How do you want to be remembered? Do you want to be remembered as aligning with that? Or do you want to be remembered as something saying that is criminal? I don't care who these people are. They should be fed. I said this a million times, and I'll say it again, and then we'll wrap. There's 1,000 people standing in front of me, progressives, people on the left. And I want every single one of them to be fed, even if one person doesn't deserve it. If there's 1,000 people standing in front of conservatives, pro-life Christians, you won't feed any of them in case one person doesn't deserve it. I see it everywhere. I see it everywhere. When we talk about fraud rates of like less than 5% in Medicaid, Medicare, people are like, that's too high. So you want everybody else to lose their coverage because you're concerned about 5%? Yes, absolutely. That's what they say. That's who we're fighting against. People with that belief set. People empowered because these group of people have been able to tell the lie. This guy promised you rebate checks. This guy promised you a reduction in the debt. What's happened since? It's gone up. She promised education reform while she's cutting programs to support special needs kids. This guy, Howard Nutlick, is connected to Venezuela, is connected to Qatar. His investment firms have made tens of millions of dollars since he was appointed Commerce Secretary. These people are the fucking predators. They're preying on the middle class because no one has courage enough on the right to stand up to it. Thank you all for today. Let me just check in the chat. Ma, just let me know who we're going to. Oh, thank you, Tiff. Appreciate you. Everybody, let's raid RTP. Haven't seen Jay in a while. Let's go raid RTP. Tell them we sent you. Thank you for your grace that you've shown our community and me in particular. Like I said, yesterday was a weird day. I'm never going to lie to you. I'm never going to lie to you. I'm going to be honest. I'm going to let my integrity stand for itself. I'm going to encourage contradiction conversations. I'm not going to platform people who feel like they can control women. No, that's not going to happen. I want people to challenge conformity. I'm not a yes man unless it's between the sheets. That's a different conversation. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Appreciate that. I want people to feel like they can speak their mind here. Okay. Billy, let me check. I haven't checked in a while. My apologies. Yes, Billy, I did. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. You want to support the channel? Thank you, Billy. You're very kind to do that. Thank you so much. Thank you for educating. You're welcome. Thank you, Elizabeth. I appreciate you. Rhonda, thank you very, very much. Actually, let's bang that out down. We're down to $90. I appreciate you all for coming here every single day. We take it seriously. Right? We take this really seriously. It's not my job. I do it because it's important to me. I've got a business that I run, two in fact, and another one that I'm trying to start. But this is important. And I keep reminding people that the things that we're fighting for should be the most important things because we're fighting for other people, not just ourselves. Keep that in mind, right? Keep in mind that we saw it on full display today. I don't give a fuck about everybody else as long as I get mine. I care. You care more about other people than you do yourself. And we see it every single day just by what we've seen in this community and just what we've seen in your hearts and how you show up every single day. So thank you all. Go rate RTP. You guys are the smartest chat on TikTok. I appreciate you. Mods, the best in the fucking business. I love you guys. Until tomorrow, friends, please